Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another week of Get Off the Damn Fence. That's right, we are here live on Facebook, YouTube, the 695 Crew production, featuring myself, Larry Caution, Calvin Thomas, and Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. Gentlemen, how y'all doing tonight?
Tried to wait before I said something. But yeah, what's going on with you? What's going on?
Ain't not much. Another week of football and basketball. Man, we got a lot to get into tonight.
Football. This was terrible.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I mean, I didn't mind it. It's bad. I thought it was pretty fun in some aspects. As far as we'll talk about it in detail, but without the Ravens playing, I didn't have much.
You were just like a straight football fan.
You know what I mean?
But like, look at the teams that weren't playing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a lot of teams that were that are in the playoff race that weren't playing. Baltimore, Washington, Indy. Like, it just felt like it was 2 or 3 good games and everything else didn't matter.
I mean, I get it from that perspective, but you need some of these weeks. There was some good stat weeks for some guys.
You wonder why I'm really pissed? I had my first week of one of my fantasy league playoffs this week. I had Lamar on the bye. Anthony, it's a 2-quarterback league, so I had my 2 quarterbacks were Lamar and Matthew Stafford. And then I picked up Anthony Richardson on the bye. I had to run with Aiden O'Connell and I lost by 5 points. That's why I'm really pissed. That's why I'm pissed.
Okay. Well, speaking of fantasy, when does our playoffs start?
Playoffs start this week. Week 4. This is week 14.
So 14. I officially won the regular season? Is that what you're telling me?
You have the most points of the
I am the number one seed overall?
Yes. And
it's a long fall if you lose, bro.
It is. But it seems to be a recurring theme around here. Is this not the 3rd year in a row, Calvin?
This is the 2nd year, bro. I ain't gonna say nothing. But wait. Last year, if I remember correctly,
I won the whole thing last year. 2 years ago, I was the best team all year, and I stuck my toe in the finals. Because my people sat
If
everybody
I remember
down.
correctly, last year you chopped it up with somebody. So
I split. Had mercy on you and gave you half of my money, and then I won. Did I not win? We're
gonna have a conversation about because it wasn't recorded. We were co-champions.
Calvin reached out to me the week of the game, like, "Hey man, if you want to, we can split the pot."
No, you didn't.
Went either way.
No, you didn't.
Yes, he did.
Come on, Calvin,
like, you know what, brother?
Look, I foresaw the future. It didn't look good for me that week. I foresaw the future,
and it worked out because I blew his ass out, and he got half the money
that week.
People don't know that part, but anyway, see, I'm a good guy. I had mercy on my brother.
I say I was co-champion. That's how I'm gonna say.
Not only do I have the most points in the league, but I'm going to win this whole thing because my team was drafted correctly for the back end. Like I told y'all at the draft, I was picking players. I said they're not healthy right now, but wait till later. And that's exactly what's happening. Everybody that I said,
we're gonna pull these stands up next week. So all 3 of us.
I'm looking at them right now.
We're gonna pull these up next week.
Nobody's close to me in points. I mean, it ain't even close.
Look, and for the record, we can talk to Leonard. I told Leonard 5 weeks ago I do not like the direction the team is going between injuries and poor play.
Leonard's draft was the dumbest draft in the history of fantasy football.
The tight end draft. I'm talking the conversation we had. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking the conversation we had.
I'm very happy with my draft. I'm very happy with my standing. Justin, how you feeling about yours? You're muted right now.
Y'all play each other?
Who?
Nah, do I? I'm looking at playoffs now.
I play Kai this week.
Okay.
I might got a bye. Do I have a bye?
I mean, according to this, you don't.
It's the top 8.
Oh, so we don't do a bye for the best man?
We've never done that.
Okay, I was just asking. But I'll smoke Kai this week. It's not even.
We'll see how we do. I snuck in.
Who you got?
Who the hell's Empire King?
Oh, that's Reggie. He right there on my heel. So I hope you do clip him. Help me out.
Reggie got hot with
Reggie got hot.
Reggie, who did he have?
And I still had the most points this week, huh?
I don't remember why he got hot, but he got hot for some reason.
He got
now it's nothing.
Brown had a couple good games. I
think it was just like he had a lot of
his
running
players
backs.
just played. Yeah, his players just played well overall.
He had a lot of running backs. That's what it was.
And Rico starting to take off too.
Yeah.
That's
he had a good night. Yeah. But I'll take my team talk about it.
I was leading in points like the first 8 weeks. I just saw it coming.
And then here come me.
I saw it coming.
I told you, I just need to get healthy. And then big pickup for me was Jaden Daniels as my second quarterback because I had Tua went down. So that really helped me out. Anyway, let's get into this NFL season. A lot to cover tonight. We're going to be talking about the in-season
Let's go
tournament as well. Thank you. If you're watching tonight, please make sure if you're on YouTube to subscribe, like, and share. If you're on our Facebook, we appreciate you liking and sharing the video with your fans, your friends on your timeline. Let's get our name out there. We truly appreciate it. Like to acknowledge everybody who has been supporting us with our NBA coverage on Wednesday nights. We're going to try to run that back in the future. Unfortunately, we will not be live on YouTube tomorrow night, but tune in tonight, all 2 hours. We're going to cover everything, we promise you, including Hard Knocks. If you checked out Hard Knocks featuring the AFC North, we're going to have some comments on that by the end of the night. But without further ado, let's get into the schedule from last week in the NFL because it was interesting. I thought it was some interesting games. I know overall, you know, when your home team doesn't play, the Ravens didn't play this week. But Calvin, you're a Cowboys fan. Y'all had an interesting game this week. Justin, the Bucs
You need to
played.
scratch that and say when your favorite team, has a bye week, not necessarily your hometown. Because my hometown didn't play it. I didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, the Bucs played.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't miss a
played.
beat.
Yeah,
had a great week.
Yeah, check your internet. But next, let's get started. The first game I said we had to talk about is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Carolina Panthers, and not necessarily because the Eagles lost or anything like that. They didn't look great. They did not look great. But if you've been watching, the formula has been for them all year: run Saquon. He's on track for over 2,000 yards. And get good timely plays from Jalen Hurts when they need to get his receivers the ball. You've had injuries with A.J. Brown. You've had injury with Devontae Smith. So passing game hasn't been completely dominant or anything like that. But what happened after the game, I think, is what we really want to talk about today. And it's been in the news a lot the last couple of days. And I just want to get you guys' opinion. What's your thoughts on A.J. Brown and his comments after the game? When they asked him, what's the problem with this team right now? And they said, he said, passing. Like, look, you got Saquon Barkley, who on track to be the MVP of the league in many people's eyes. You have an attack that's been effective. You won 9 games in a row playing this formula, and you have your star receiver come out there, and we know how receivers are about their touches and their money. He comes out there and he says,
got paid.
Problem. Do you have an issue with A.J. Brown's reaction? Let's address that first. We'll get into what happened after that. But did you have an issue initially with A.J. Brown and his response? Justin, I'll start with you.
No, not at all. He is coming from a place where he's seen the team take a nosedive before, even when they were winning. So he doesn't want to go through that same thing again. He knows that the offense is not flowing the way that he wants it to be. So what is it that you're supposed to do? You're supposed to say something about it. So he's addressing the elephant in the room. Jalen Hurts has not been playing well. So what is it that you do? You have to confront this head on, and that's what he's doing. Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown 300 yards in I don't know how long, at least not for the past 5 or 6 games. So that's a problem when you have the talent that they have. A.J. Brown's stats hasn't been looking like they should. That's also a problem. So he's commenting on something that's a major concern, because if he's going and the team and the offense is flowing, not just Saquon, now you don't have to rely only on Saquon. It should be back and forth. So I don't have any issues with what Saquon is doing.
Calvin, your thoughts?
He deserves to be. He has a right to be frustrated, but I think it's more than the casual fans see. When you look at the tape and you see how he's open. He's getting one-on-one coverage, but he's not getting the ball thrown to him consistently. And he basically complained about, hey, I'm not getting balls first through third quarter. Then when we turn on the fourth quarter, I need to get in the rhythm. I need to understand, to be in the game, to be a part of the game plan. And the plays that are being called are for me, but you're not throwing them to me for whatever reason. Okay. And I'm usually not a fan of Emmanuel Acho, but on Twitter, I guess it had to be Monday, he went through about 6 plays in which you can make the argument AJ Brown was open at all 6 of them, and he was throwing the ball once. And Torrey Smith had a rebuttal where it was basically they were going back and forth about, well, this play the corner was doing this, and this play he wasn't really open, and this play the defensive line was getting pushed into his face. But looking at the all 22, he was open, he just didn't get the ball, and I think it can become frustrating at some point when you're relied on to save the team in the fourth quarter, but you don't get to throw the ball consistently 1 through 3. And I'm not saying this is approaching T.O. McNabb levels, because we know the hatred they still have for each other 20 years later. But this must be an issue that was started last year that has converted or come over to this year as well. And it still has not been resolved for whatever reason. And it only has been escalated with Saquon Barkley and him just playing well as well, because there's less targets for A.J. Brown. So I understand why he's frustrated. The team is winning, so I think that should trump everything overall, especially after you already got paid and you got an extension as well. So that should trump everything overall. But I can understand as your receiver, you're a me guy. You're always open. Why you are concerned? Why you're concerned? Why you're complaining about not getting the ball when you think you should? So are his frustrations warranted? Yes. Should the team success trump this? Yes. Is this part of what happened last year? We don't know, but.
See, I take umbrage with that. My problem is, look, you can be frustrated. You can think that, okay, because Dan Orlovsky on Monday morning before Archo did what he did, Orlovsky broke down every play. He broke it down on Get Up. He was like, yeah, Hurts could have hit him here. He could have put a better ball placement, but also the defense could have made a play on that ball. Maybe he took the low percentage shot. Maybe he was just trying to protect the ball, keep the ball control in their favor. Now, they didn't win that game. It wasn't a blowout or nothing like that. Yes, they should have put the Panthers
every play.
away. But again, the Panthers are a pretty good team here lately. They've been playing a lot harder. So I'm not taking anything away from the Carolina Panthers and how they've been playing. My problem is when you go in the media and say it. Look, if you got issue with what the passing game is doing and you're not getting your touches, you go talk to your coaches, go talk to Kellen Moore, go talk to Jalen Hurts in private, go to talk to Sirianni. Y'all work that issue out behind closed doors. Look, guys, if we want to be as successful as we want to be, if we want to make a deep run in the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, our passing game has to improve. Not saying you got to pass it more than you run it, but when we do pass it and I'm open, you got to hit me in stride and give me opportunities, because when I'm successful, the team is successful. I get that. That's a conversation for behind closed doors. You don't go to the media and they ask you a question.
You don't think you already had this conversation?
It don't matter. You still don't air your dirty laundry out, especially when the team is having success. If things are going bad, I get guys getting frustrated. But when you show a me attitude when you're winning, that shows me something about your character. Again, if you're adding that we could be doing things better to contribute to us being more successful down the road, handle that behind closed doors. If you don't feel that you're getting used the way you want to in an off-season request a trade, my problem is when the team is having success and the chemistry is there on the field, it was relating to getting W's instead of L's. Why would you now throw a monkey wrench into the equation? I have no problem with the guy having fire. I have no problem with the guy showing passion. I have no problem with the guy having an opinion about how his usage is. But again, take that to your position coach. Take that to the head coach if he's an offensive-minded guy. Go talk to Jalen as a man. If he's done that in the past and it hasn't been effective, don't be the squeaky wheel. Don't look for the oil. Y'all are winning 9 in a row. Again, I know Shannon got this saying, don't accept in a win what you wouldn't in a loss. But you're not the head coach. You're not the person who's calling the plays. You're not the person whose responsibility is to deliver the ball to everybody on the team. Maybe Jalen saw something that you didn't see. Maybe it was something that he had an instinct of to go this way instead of that way because the safety was coming down, or he thought he saw something. Mistakes will happen over the course of a game. My problem is when you go into the media and make it a thing for the public, and now all the questions going to come to the team about what you could. How come he's saying this? How come he's saying that? We're going to get into the next part in a second. Go ahead.
So let me rebut this, and then I'll let Justin handle it. 2 things. One, how do we know this? If this issue has been boiling over for a year and a half, and you've done everything you said, and I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the media, or you should go to the media, but if you've done everything you said, have meetings behind closed doors, talk to Hurts, talk to Kellen Moore, go to Sirianni, try to get more involved in the offense, say this is what I want to see in the offense, and nothing still has changed. That's one. Two, he answered the questions, but I would make the argument that it wasn't until is it Brandon Graham? Is that the guy that's
We
on
can
IR?
talk about that in a second.
Because he decided to air the dirty laundry. I don't think it was AJ Brown. It was Brandon Graham who decided
No.
It was Brandon Graham who decided to say this has been going on for this long. This is what's really going on.
That's what I'm saying.
AJ Brown answered the question. He didn't answer them answer them in a beneficial way to the team.
That's why.
But
that's the problem.
But I don't think
addressing
AJ
that
Brown.
part first. We're
But
not
Brandon
talking
Graham
about Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham
We're not
put
talking about
gasoline on
Brandon
that
Graham.
fire.
But
Brandon
Brandon
Graham put
Graham
gasoline on
issue
the fire.
happened a whole day later. AJ Brown answered the question on Sunday before Brandon Graham opened his mouth. And Brandon Graham is not commenting on this if AJ Brown doesn't spark this fire to begin
He didn't
with.
have to comment on it. He was asked the question. He don't have to answer the question.
AJ Brown should have answered the question. That's the point. What's the problem with this offense?
This isn't the first time he's answered
Who's
the
people
question this
going to
way,
look
though.
at? The quarterback? Are you throwing your teammate under the bus?
If everybody says the same thing, well,
Who's
internally,
everybody?
then
Who else has said it?
internally, I say.
So what is he supposed to say when asked what's going on with the offense?
We
And
need
you know
to move the ball
Saquon is
more
having an
consistently.
MVP season.
We need to move the ball more consistently.
Why aren't you
all
moving
of
the
us
ball
can make
consistently?
plays. We can all make better plays.
Well,
There's a
Saquon
way
is having
to-
an MVP
you have
season.
to have-
What does that mean for the rest of the team? It's
AJ
easy
Brown-
to counter everything you just said.
No,
Easy.
it's not. No, it's not.
When
Because
you
know
have
why?
the MVP
You
superstar,
can lie. You don't
When
have
you
to
had-
tell the truth.
that's the problem. So you want him to be a liar?
Yes.
No.
That's what media
No,
training does.
now you mess
You
with somebody's
caught
integrity.
No,
Don't
ain't
mess
no
with his
no
integrity.
Ain't no
No, don't
integrity.
mess with that.
You don't
No,
throw
that's
your
messed
teammate
up
under the
saying that
bus.
he got a lie.
If me and you was
told the
out
truth.
drinking the night before the game, and they asked me, what was wrong with Justin today? Man, he was out drinking last night. He got
He had a
fucked up.
bad day.
He should have.
That's
That's my point.
That's not lying, though.
That is.
That's not lying.
No, you ain't tell the truth. You didn't tell the truth. That's my
I
point.
did tell the truth.
There is a way
I had a bad
to
day.
answer
That's
any
not saying
question.
First of
where
all,
you don't throw a guy under the bus.
he didn't. He just said passing.
Come on.
That's a lot of components that you're
And that opens
assuming.
the window
That
for
you're
other
assuming.
questions.
It's
He knew
an
exactly what he was
assumption-based
doing.
comment.
Did he
You know
answer
exactly
those
what he's
questions, or
doing.
did Brandon Graham answer those questions?
That's the next point. I'm talking about this conversation started on Sunday. Brandon Graham went on his radio show on Monday and said what he said. That had something complete. That was him because the door was open. Well, and Brandon Graham not in there. He been on IR. He not in that the team
For 3 weeks, and so he know.
Again,
He ain't
he
been there.
said. Then he tried to pull a retraction and say, "Well, I really was speaking out of turn. I didn't really know that they patched things up and everything like that. I'm just saying."
Yes.
Why would you even have to say anything about that? First of all, if the issue is Jalen Hurts isn't accurate, is that new? Is that new information? Did people not know that at Alabama? Then what did Jalen Hurts do when he got to the league? Just took the Eagles to the Super Bowl and probably played the best. Probably was the best player on the field in a loss against Kansas City. Outplayed Patrick Mahomes head up, but they lost. They lost the game. But so to act like Jalen Hurts is not accomplished or a good enough guy, that just undercuts this quarterback who already people have been undercutting his entire career. They already say he's just a runner. They already said, you know how black quarterbacks get labeled anyway. And I just feel like, why throw your quarterback under the bus when Saquon Barkley has been the centerpiece of the offense all year? So you're going to have limited opportunities to begin with. I just think it's stupid and unfair. And why would you do that when y'all won 9 in a row?
The problem is. They're not passing effectively. That's it. He didn't say Jalen Hurts. That could be a scheme thing. That could be a multiple tools of things. It's just the passing side versus the running side. It's only 2 levels on offense, passing and running. That was it. We played that back when we was playing games for the first time we played a video game. It was pass or run, and we just went whatever what was called after that. That's simply what he's saying is passing side, we are struggling. That's nothing new. Jalen Hurts is not throwing over. He's barely hitting 200 yards. In the NFL today, not to get to struggle to get 200 yards, that's a problem. They all know it's a problem. They talking about it behind the scenes. It's a problem. Other teams know that they're not the best passing wise, but they still can't stop Saquon. That's the problem. That's why they win in the game. It's no shock. It's no surprise. Everyone else that's reacting from it, I'm questioning you because that's the obvious thing. They're not passing the ball effectively. And for a while, they didn't have their full complement of weapons. So now you're starting to have them back. You got both of your receivers playing at the same time. I should see an uptick in your offense, in your passing
But
offense.
that's not even accurate. Devontae Smith just came back this past Sunday.
I just
He was
said
gone the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Before that, A.J. Brown was gone. So they never had the hope to say that the passing game is an issue and try to act like they've been full strength the whole year. That's A.J. Brown's lack of thinking to be like, oh, the passing game. And your running back is the most – they run the ball effectively. It's not like they just running it because what have we been saying all year? When the Ravens win and Derrick Henry gets his touches, I mean, when they lose, they fail to run the ball properly, right? Lamar Jackson should be happy. I know he would be ecstatic to throw for 180, 200, and Derrick Henry 1 for 150.
You have a problem in your example.
Why?
Yes, there's nothing wrong with choosing that example.
It's the same.
It is not
Derrick
because
Henry,
you're dealing with Zay Flowers
Lamar
and
Jackson,
Bateman versus A.J. Brown, which is one of the best receivers in the league, period. And you got Devontae Smith.
Agreed.
That is a difference in clientele, which they require their own special treatment versus what you're dealing with the Ravens.
Again, so shouldn't the onus
ball.
be on the diva? You just want to throw it just to placate the diva? Is that what you're saying? Not it's effective to winning. I think it's about when do you throw the ball to him? Is it winning time? Fourth quarter, we need some big catches. If you've been watching the Eagles, they pass the ball in effective moments, and it's been working. Go back and look at some of these games. The Ravens, they made drives against the Ravens when they matriculated the ball down the field. They passed, mixed in the pass and run. Against Washington a few weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, you watched the game. I hope you did. The Eagles offense moved the ball. Jalen Hurts, what's his name? Jaden Daniels played fantastic. But every time they would score, the Eagles would come right back down the field. Don't you remember that game on Thursday Night Football?
The game Saquon Barkley scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, he scored 3 touchdowns, but they still passed the ball well. He threw a couple screens too. Look, it's more than one way to skin a cat. My problem is, why go to the media and try? Now everybody's going to be asking questions. Brandon Graham spoke out of turn. I think we can all agree to that. His comments.
Jalen Hurts. You brought the Commanders game up. Jalen Hurts had 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Saquon had 2. Jalen had 1 rushing.
I'm talking about passing. I ain't say
Jalen had 1. Jalen was 18 of 28 for 221.
That's over 200 yards.
1 rushing touchdown. Saquon had 2
yards in today's NFL.
Saquon
with a running back that's running like he running. How many yards did Saquon run?
When I said Saquon, that's the game. Saquon had 3 touchdowns. You said no. Jalen was throwing the ball over the field that game. Like
no. I didn't say he wasn't having touchdowns, but Jaden 221 ain't bad with a running back that's dominant and a run dominant offense like that. A quarterback complimenting with 220. That ain't good. What more do you want? You want to throw for 300 and for Saquon to run for 200?
Out of those 220, A.J. Brown caught 5. Out of those, A.J. Brown had 5. I don't know how many he was targeted, but he caught 5. So this is the number 1 receiver with this again. Devontae got hurt, matter of fact, or he didn't finish the game. I ain't gonna say he got hurt.
How many yards he had?
He had 65.
That's effective for a running team.
Oh my God,
that's effective.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
What do you want, man?
That's effective for someone of
maybe I'm cut from a different breed. Why do these eye-popping stats? They great. Don't get me wrong. You're a Bucks fan, Justin. Do you think Mike Evans cares about catching?
They
for
don't have no running
yards?
game. It's different. They don't have no running game.
No. If they got if the run game is effective,
Mike Evans cares about one thing only.
Touchdowns.
No, that is incorrect.
What do you care about?
The course of a year, give him 1,000 yards. That's all he cares about.
Okay.
It could come in one big game or smaller.
And last time I checked, Mike Evans got a ring. It may not be with this quarterback. Mike Evans got a ring, right?
That is also a fact.
Okay.
That's not the right guy to compare to.
I really think this is a stretch, but whatever. I'll take it. Game. Okay. Mike. AJ Brown 5 for 119, 6 for 116, 5 for 89, 5 for 84, 5 for 109. That Washington game, he had 5 for 65. The next week he came back 6 for 109. The Baltimore game, they played him tough, 5 for 66. And then his lowest output since
Was against
against
Carolina?
Jacksonville was 4 for 43.
Against Carolina.
Yeah, against Carolina this past week, and that's where he complained. He had 4 for 43. But he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games over 100 yards. I mean, what do you want when he got a guy running for 2,000 yards? The offense is gone towards the run. You can't have it everything. That's on that Zay Flowers, that Hollywood Brown syndrome. Get me out of here so I go somewhere where they're going to pass the ball. All right, go get your stats. Go get your stats.
So
I think y'all should be ring chasing, pal.
Without looking, where do you think A.J. Brown ranks in yardage this season?
I really don't know. Because if
you
I
had
got Saquon going for the league record in rushing, I would hope it's not that low. High. It should be pretty low.
He top 10, top 12, 15?
I think probably 20. What is he?
He's top 20.
Okay, good.
So out of those,
how many games he play?
Out of those 20, he has the lowest amount of targets out of anyone, and I'm still scrolling.
So he make it work when he do catch it. Good job.
He has 66 targets. The next closest is Jameson Williams, who has 100 yards less with 63 targets. He has less targets than Nico Collins, who played 3 less games than him.
Mm-hmm.
He has, if he's the number one receiver, he wants to be mentioned with Chase and Jefferson and McLaurin and those guys.
Ask for a trade. Don't ask to be on a team that features a star running back who requires touches. Don't ask for it then.
You know what's even worse? He's averaging more yards per reception. He's most of the top 20. He's getting you 17 yards a catch, but he can't get the catches. So he's producing when you're throwing the ball, but you're not throwing the ball enough.
But doesn't some of that have to be taken into consideration how the defense is playing you? If you have no true number 2, if Devontae Smith is not there, who's the number 2 receiver?
I'm looking at the numbers.
Now ask my question. If Devontae Smith is not there, who's the number 2 receivers for the Eagles?
See, how many games is T. Higgins missing? Jamar Chase still getting 150 yards.
Sensational. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. But are we going to say that the running back for the Bengals is on par with Saquon Barkley? Of course, we're not going to say that.
He was on par with Saquon Barkley this season.
The point. Why would we cherry pick numbers and be like, okay, Saquon is on pace to break
Flowers has better stats than A.J. Brown.
Because we've been a lot more pass happy than we should be at times. And can we all agree to that? Even we on here every week we talk about the same thing. I'm not going to say him being no hypocrite. It's the same thing. If you have a running back like a Derrick Henry, like a Saquon Barkley, you have to use these guys, especially if the defense can't stop them. So, of course, the rest of the team has to be unselfish. I look at a Detroit Lions team where they got Amon-Ra St. Brown, where they got 2 running backs.
Okay.
Amon-Ra St. Brown has better stats than A.J. Brown.
That's great.
Let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. Saquon Barkley averages 20 attempts per game rushing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're throwing the ball, if you're averaging 55, 60 plays a game, that means you have 35 passes a game. Why is the AJ Brown being targeted more? That's what his gripe is.
Rolling coverage. Who knows?
That's what his gripe.
And without breaking down every game,
if you have an offense in which you can scheme to get him open and get him looks, then you should be able to do that. And if you're and from what he seems to be saying, that's being done. It's the quarterback is not looking his way, so his gripe is with the quarterback. Does he have a right to complain if
you said he didn't complain? You said
does he have a right to voice his opinion?
All he said was
Kellen Moore draws up a play and say AJ Brown's the number one on this route, and you don't look his way, and he's open. And if I can show you 5 or 6 times where he's open and he doesn't get the ball, can that be frustrating to the receiver? It should be.
Cherry pick the worst game he's had all season and say, yeah, he didn't get the ball. Fine, whatever. But why would you go out and cry after I just read you stats for most of the season where he missed games, 1. Other games he wasn't 100% healthy, but he was on the field, 2. Thirdly, his number 2 guy hasn't been there, so coverage has probably been rolling to his side for double teams. So why would you force it in there? And then the biggest one of all, you got a guy who's averaging about 6 or 7 yards a carry Why would I care about forcing passes just to appease a guy? Again, y'all got different philosophies. Hey, I believe in how about team first? How about try to win the games, not worry about somebody's pocket? And if he don't want to be there, that's why they got rid of him in Tennessee. Trade him again. Bye. Next, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Buffalo Bills on Sunday 44-42. Matthew Stafford and the all high-powered Rams offense finally lived up to the preseason hype. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, that combination, Kyren Williams in the backfield, and Stafford was dealing. They got away with a few calls here, there, late.
Both sides.
But to be able to get that win over the Bills after Josh Allen put on a career day, actually stat-wise, we have not seen another player since back, I think they said 19, like before TVs probably, where quarterback ran for 3 touchdowns and passed for 3 touchdowns in the same game, but it was in a losing effort. The Rams get a big victory. Calvin, will this win propel the Rams to be the most dangerous team that anybody would want to face if they were able to sneak into the playoffs?
I mean, I think if they've proven that they can compete with the Detroits and the Minnesotas of the world. So I don't know. I'm not sure they can beat them, but I think they are a dangerous team because they are getting healthy. They have a top 10 offense. They have a top 10 quarterback. And like you said, their weapons are getting healthy, and they're getting healthy at the right time. And the defense, which is very young, is kind of hitting their stride at the right time. So they're
hitting their stride.
The defense, yeah, the defensive line. I'll say the defensive line. Let me say that.
Allow 42
but I mean, but look, I think we all expect this to be a high-scoring game. One, I just you ain't think so?
No, I did not.
Oh, I thought it would be high score. I didn't think it was going to be this high scoring.
Yeah, I didn't expect 80 some points in the game. I haven't seen it
all
all year.
I think it's going to be 57 to 60. I think like that. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect them to score, but the defense scored, the run game scored. Look, Josh Allen is this is a sidebar. He's the only person I know that he ran for 3, threw for 3, and his MVP odds went up in a loss. But I expect look, Rams wise, I think they're dangerous. I think if they get in, they're going to have home field advantage, which you can say whatever it is for LA, but that means somebody has to travel there, and that could mean Minnesota has to travel there. Do you trust Sam Darnold on the road when he's not the best quarterback? Or, I think this team can be dangerous. I've liked this team all year long. They've been up and down. They've had injury issues. I don't know if you necessarily want to see them in the playoffs at home when they have a week to prepare for you, because I think Sean McVay is a good quarterback and can prepare in those situations.
Justin, your thoughts?
Well, this is what we was waiting to see, right? This is the preseason Rams that we was waiting for. Buffalo was there. They was there. They contended most of the plays that was being thrown. It's just when Stafford is on point and when Puka and both Cooper are catching the ball at its highest peak. Like if you watch the 12 catches that 12 catches and 5 carries that Puka did, those were incredibly difficult catches to make, and he made it look like child's play. So it was just him beating the defender. The defender was there. Most of the time, the defender is right there. It was him being better than the other person. And that's hard to game plan for when you got Cooper on the other side. And then Kyren has the damn near 30 carries, and then Blake is starting to get off behind him, Paul. So you got a lot of different plays going on. And so if you're asking me, is this the Rams team that could possibly shake some things up if they get in? 100% they can shake some things up. This is a difficult team to match up for. So you know that when you play a team like that, I have to be firing on all cylinders. We can't allow, we got 4 or 5 field goals in order to beat the Rams. No, you have to score in order to beat the Rams. Even when you score, you got to do it more than 6 times because Josh Allen couldn't do it. And that's a problem. So it was a fun game. It was a fun game to watch. I do expect Buffalo to maybe run the ball a little bit more. Josh Allen was their lead guy, and you barely seen James Cook, so that's a problem. They need to be a bit more balanced, maybe to keep someone of a high-powered offense off the field. But everything matters. They had a special teams that got blocked, and the Rams scored on that. Everything matters when you play certain teams, and this is one of those things where you just could not make too many mistakes, and Buffalo did.
I think it's a good win for sure, but I don't know if it's that much of a sign. I think they caught them on a good day. This same team is not like they haven't been healthy for multiple weeks here. We just saw 2 weeks ago Philly go in their house and beat them by 17. So, am I impressed? Yes, I'm
I
impressed.
think Philly's better than Buffalo, though. So what does that mean?
I mean, but 17 points better. I thought that, like you say, a couple inopportune things happened. Josh Allen didn't turn the ball over, but there was some turnovers by that Buffalo team. You saw, like you say, that punt block. You saw some inopportune, some missed field goals happen. Like things happened that kind of swung some momentum. And unusually, LA had the actual home field advantage. I just don't think the Rams have been consistent enough at all for me to have a good feel for what this team can be. Yes, those two receivers and Matthew Stafford, that's a high-powered, dangerous. But I've seen Miami beat them a couple weeks ago when all those players were on the field. It's not like they haven't been healthy for weeks now. They've been healthy. They just up and down. Again, down the stretch, you got the 49ers who looked good the other day. You got the Jets. That should be a win. You got the Cardinals, who's been up and down here lately.
You got Seattle.
And then you finish the season with Seattle.
That's what the division is right there. That's probably comes down to division. That's at home.
I take Seattle over them. I don't think that's much of a stretch. Seattle's been playing really good football. Again, it's a good win, and I'm not knocking it. You also got to take into account, look how many people were missing from that Bills lineup, and they still put up 42 points. They were missing receivers. They were missing DBs. They were missing linebackers. They were missing a lot of players, and they still hung in there to the end.
Their defense has been suspect for the most part of all year, though. So
I don't think they've been suspect all year. Did you see what
for the most part?
A couple weeks
for
ago?
the majority, we're hanging on to them holding Mahomes to 20 points and acting like we haven't the team all year.
It won 42. All right. Again, I thought that was a good day by the Rams. I'm not overly impressed.
This defense gave up 31 to Carolina. They gave up 28.
Carolina's a lot better than
I'm sorry. That was preseason. I'm sorry. They gave 28 to the Cardinals. They gave up 35 to the Ravens. They gave up 23 to the Texans. They gave up 20 to the Jets.
10, 27
to the Dolphins. 20 to the Colts. I mean, look at the offenses that they played. If you want to say Seahawks defense, Seahawks offense is a good offense, and they held them to 10. Okay,
it's a hell of a win. Again,
I'm not talking about the whole division. Okay,
I'm not saying that the Bills are the best team in the league. I'm just saying 42 that's a lot. I think that's a lot. There's just again, outstanding day by Josh Allen in a loss, and a lot of people are still saying that he's probably the front runner for MVP. Justin, if the season ended right now, who gets your vote?
Right now, it's up for debate. The reason why I push back only because I have to see if Saquon breaks the record for me.
That's
me,
why
that
I asked
matters.
if the season
ended today, he didn't break the record, so it's going to Josh.
So he's the front runner for you. Calvin.
Saquon, better record. Team has better record. I'm going Saquon.
Okay. So there we have it. So the Bills still not getting respect because Calvin hates Josh Allen. Simple. Next up, the Lions defeated the Green Bay Packers 34-31. You're a hater. We know you're a hater. You don't like white people.
I've publicly said on this show, I'm not hating Josh Allen. I hate Bills fans.
No. You hate Josh Allen.
I don't hate Josh Allen. No. I stood up for Josh Allen a couple weeks ago.
Who'd you stand up against?
I don't know what the argument was.
Exactly.
I was pro Josh Allen. I was pro Josh Allen for one argument. It did happen.
Anyway, the Lions defeated the Packers last week. A lot of people were saying that this was the Packers' chance. If they win this game, they could, quite frankly, stake their claim to be the best team in NFC North. It was close, but at the end of the day, the Lions just made more plays when it mattered, including you got to give – look, the guy's a gambler, man. Just call him what he is. Dan Campbell doesn't give a damn what the book says, what the analytics say, what they say is the right thing to do. The man's going to do what he want to do. And when it works, it works. It didn't work last year in the playoffs,
I agree.
but it worked this week.
I agree.
What you think, Calvin?
Actually, it was his quarterback this time. He
Hmm.
had Jared Goff was coming off the side and he was pissed off. And he was like, "What's wrong?" He was like, "Yo, I wanted to go
field goal
for it.
range. I don't care.
I wanted to go for it." And he was like, "That's how you feel?" And
Well, that's the
fuck it.
quarterback.
Then
I
go
mean,
ahead.
that's the coach,
So
though.
it
That's
took,
his
it
mentality.
took Jared. So
He's
Jared's
instilled that
getting
into
a
the
little
team.
loose, and I wouldn't expect that from someone like Jared Goff
Lamar
to
do
kind of
that
go
all the
ahead
time to
on and rock
Harbaugh,
out with it.
and Harbaugh caved and let him do dumb shit. Go ahead, Calvin.
Look, I think this was a good game. I was surprised Green Bay came back. They kind of got off to a slow start. But look, these are those type of decisions are why you lose in San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. So
it can come back.
You got what if 6-7 yards makes a difference in your field goal kicker? Go get a new kicker because it shouldn't have made a difference in that instance. Say what?
They don't go on trees, man. It's not that easy to get a good cookie.
No. My point. But if 6 yards made a difference within 35 yards in a dome, no.
Nah, he just
go kick the field goal. Get a field because if you don't get it and then they score and win, regardless of what happened to the field goal, he make or miss it. It's on you to explain why you needed to get closer. You have no faith. Now I can spin that. You don't have any faith in your field goal kicker. You had to get closer. Is that why?
So Calvin, 4-1. You're saying you didn't like the decision.
I didn't like the decision. Now, if I was a Detroit fan, I wouldn't have cared because we won. But this
no, that's results oriented.
No, at the time, you can still care.
At the time, did you like it? Just
no.
I thought it was. It took some kahunas.
It took some balls.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Especially when I found out it was more so Jared Goff that was saying let's rock out with it.
But the fact that you just told me
does that make it better
Jared
or worse?
Goff said it, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised because
that makes it. Does that make it better or worse? Though?
It makes it better because the quarterback and the coach are starting to be one.
Yep.
That's not a Jared Goff thing. That's not what he's known for. He's very conservative.
He's wearing off on him. Yeah.
He's wearing off on him. So that means they're together. They tied it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. If you this game is a divisional matchup, if you lose this game, were they 1 game behind you, I believe. If you lose this game,
whatever. Mm-hmm.
1 game behind you. Do you make that call?
Yeah, you still make the call. If
no. I'm not talking about no. I'm talking about you. You are the coach. Do you make that call?
I'm a
play how you
coach.
If you coach how you coach. If that's you,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. I'm asking both of you.
I don't make that call, but I'm not Dan Campbell. And
I'm
that's
way
why
more conservative than Dan
Campbell. The hell? Like I'm not doing that shit.
But he is what he's at.
And then if he missed, I'm gonna blame the damn kickers. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh wait. So it's okay for you to blame the kicker, but it ain't okay for the wide receiver to blame the quarterback. I got you.
No, I'm the head coach.
Okay.
If I make the decision to let the kicker do the only job he's getting paid to do, and that's make kicks, and he missed the kick, I ain't gonna go out and say, "Yeah, we lost because of kicker." I'm like, "Yeah, it was a tough loss," and I'm gonna look like, "Hey, Dan, did you ever think about Larry? Did you ever think about going for it?" I mean, I knew he was rested. He ain't done shit all game. We put touchdowns on the board. All he had to do was put the ball through the upright. I mean, hey, things happen, but in my heart, I know. Hey, at least I ain't make the bonehead decision to take the chance off of the kicker and put points off the board. That's how I look at it. But Dan Campbell not like that, and that's why he is who he is.
Where he's at.
You know what I mean? Like I give him credit. It is what it is. But hey, they still living. They still living close to the edge. They getting closer to that Kansas City type of wins here lately, where everything's a nail biter. Everything. But that was a good win. It's not like the Packers not a good team, so. That was a good win on what was that, Thursday night? Yeah.
Thursday night, yeah.
What do y'all think about Jordan Love overall, how he played? Can Jordan Love win you a playoff game or two or take you all the way where you need to go? This is the youngest team in the NFL.
He did
That's crazy.
Year.
I mean, he destroyed Dallas Cowboys last year.
Well, is that really something to mention?
I mean, it's in the playoffs, and it was his first time in the playoffs. So
yeah,
I mean, it shows that he doesn't necessarily crumble under the pressure. But did I expect him to play a little bit better than what he did this past Thursday? A little bit. It's not like he played like bad though.
Close
so can I win a game with him in the playoffs? Yes. If you're asking me, can I trust Josh Jacobs to go along with him? then yes, 100%. And then hopefully somebody, the fact that they didn't get Reed didn't have a catch that whole
Nah,
game.
really?
Yeah.
Because he was on my
Yeah.
daggone parlay ticket one.
Understood. So
Zero.
it's
Yeah.
those situations where I hope that the coaching staff, not necessarily all on Jordan Love, come on, like, yo, it's third quarter. He doesn't have anything. Let's, do a screen pass. Let's do something else. That's what I want to see moving forward. Not necessarily can Jordan Love play extremely that much better. I want to see them get everybody involved and move forward, because that's what makes Green Bay the best, is when you don't know who's going to hit you in the mouth.
Well, that's where I'll be like, yeah. So if a guy comes out and say, "Hey, I need to be involved in the office," we're losing these games. They don't win any big games. They don't any of these big matchups. They get these marquee matchups. They lose. Philly, they lost. Minnesota, they lost. Detroit, they lost. Like, yeah. Then you need to really look at it and say, what we doing ain't working against the good teams. That's when I feel like, yeah, if you want to grumble, fine. But when you're winning, shut the fuck up. Excuse me. Go ahead.
The only thing I'll say about Jordan Love's performance is I think it was better than when you look at the numbers, it was better than you actually remember. Like, they only had 45 plays on offense compared to Detroit 76, and they put up 31 points. So he made the most of his possessions. It's just they didn't have enough possessions. Like, when you compare, Detroit had 30 more plays on offense, scored 3 more points. Like, they were able to strike fast when they had the ball, and then other times they went 3 and out. So you can say that's the quarterback, that's the offense as a whole. They maximized what they could do with those possessions. They just didn't have enough of them, and I think that's just as Jordan Love, but it's also the offense. Like you said, Jaden Reed didn't have a catch. Josh Jacobs only had 67 yards, something like that.
He had like 3 touchdowns.
But I mean, so they were able to like maximize what they did with the limited possessions, the limited plays that they had. So
if Christian Watson doesn't jump up and high hurdle like he's in the damn Olympics and not fumble, that could have been a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that.
Yeah. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 19-17. Came down to basically who had the ball last. But the Chiefs were able to kick the walk-off field goal that, like Calvin just explained, hit upright, but it went in, and they were able to get the victory. Again, Kansas City living on the edge. They were up in this game. Justin Herbert was able to bring the Chargers back with no J.K. Dobbins. The running game wasn't clicking early, but second half, they were able to pass their way back into the game. The Chargers are a solid team. We know what they represent, to hold this Chiefs team to 19 and that really 16 until that walk-off field goal. Mahomes needed one drive. He made that drive. And I think that's the story of the game. As bad as the Chiefs offense was looking, at the end of the day, they gave Mahomes the ball back with too much time left. He was able to move that ball down the field, get him in scoring position, get that timely first down to make this running the clock out, walk off with a field goal. Justin, if you look at the rest of this schedule, they got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up. And just about, I think if they get past the Steelers, they got the Denver Broncos. And do you think
they got the Browns, the Chiefs? I mean, the Browns, the Texans, Steelers, and Broncos.
Texans, that's it. The Texans. Do you see this team being the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Number 1 seed in the AFC. They have to win.
They got to win one, right?
I think because Buffalo lost last week.
Buffalo lost last week.
Pittsburgh has 3 losses on the season. Correct?
Yeah.
They do have 3.
So they could catch them technically.
They got to lose 2, including
and they got
one
to
to
head
Pittsburgh.
to head.
They got to lose 2, including one to Pittsburgh for them to
I think they get them more.
You think they get the number 1 seed playing the way they have? How many of these final games do you see them winning?
I got them beating the Browns. It's something about those Texans. They have lost a lot of big games. So I have them beating the Texans.
Remind me of Green Bay.
And that Texan game is before the Ravens game, right? That's a short week too.
That's the 21st, and then they play again
Saturday,
on the 25th.
Yeah,
that's the Steelers week.
Crazy.
The Steelers might beat them. I can see that happening, but Steelers got a tough week too.
But Steelers play. I mean, they had equal amount of rest, but yeah. No,
and
no.
it depend on where they're at.
Steelers got Philly this week, right?
That's what I'm saying. Depend on
Yeah,
where
they go
everyone is at. They might rest against the
that
Broncos
last week.
because they have the number 1 seed locked
Locked
up.
up.
Yeah.
But
So
you like what you're saying from the
2-2.
Chiefs.
If
You
they
got
go
them going
2-2,
2-2?
they're good. Yeah.
You do have them losing 2 more games, possibly. Do you think that happens?
I do. I think the last 4 games they go 2-2. They win the next 2 and lose against the Steelers. And that's the game
Okay.
that
And then they rest on them.
and then they rest out.
Okay, Calvin, your thoughts? Can this Chiefs team keep this going?
I got them finished with the number 1 record only because Buffalo lost last week. If Buffalo would have won, then
Yeah, so different story.
Yeah. I think it's a lot to catch 2 games in 4 weeks. Even though they have the tiebreaker, you still need them to lose 2 games. If it was 1, I can see them losing 1. I got them going 3-1 though. I think the only game they lose is the last week to the Chargers because it does not matter at that point.
So you got the Steelers losing to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I got Steelers and the Texans losing to them. Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, again, we've been talking about this team every week at this point. It is what it is. They win, they in. So there we go. Next up, Seahawks defeated the Arizona Cardinals 30-18. Pretty convincing by the end. The Seahawks offense seems like it was clicking pretty well. Kyler Murray and his Cardinals offense is up and down, has been up and down the last 6 weeks. We had some high hopes at one point. People saying Kyler Murray outside chance, possibly being in MVP conversations. That's pretty much stalled. I'll start with you, Calvin. What's your thoughts on the Seahawks team? Because in many ways, this team could possibly win the NFC West or be at least a wild card. Are they dangerous? We talked about the Rams earlier. What's your thoughts?
I mean, this offense has been up and down. Geno's play has been up and down. When he at one point in time he was the top quarterback in regards to yards thrown this year. And when he's that quarterback, they have a successful offense. When DK and Jigba are healthy, they have a successful offense. Zach Charbonnet, they ran for 130 last week. Great balance in that run game, filling in for Kenneth Walker. Even in Arizona, that's how they were able to win that game with great balance and great quarterback play. I just think they're so up and down. You don't know what you're going to get from them, and they still have a chance to win the division. You just got to be out the Rams at this point. But I'm not sure if it's. I don't know. I heard the reports earlier that they're not going to extend Geno. I don't know if that's good or bad that came out during the course of the season because that seems to be their guy. By the players. I feel as though their leader isn't getting the respect from the organization, or do they even care? But I think that he has to be all in, and I think he has to continue his high play in order to win this division. I just don't know if they have enough to beat the Rams, and what I think is going to come down to in the last week of the season.
I think with Kenneth Walker being out, I think it's more so Zach Charbonnet has been unleashed because not only did he have the rushing yards, he had 7 catches for 60 yards. So he's starting to say, hey, I'm the all-around guy. Geno, when you're in trouble, find me. It don't matter if you're handing me the ball. It don't matter if you're throwing me the ball. I'm here for you. So when you have that kind of a weapon that's emerging as we're talking about this thing, it puts a whole different light on what Seattle's doing for me. Because when there was a Kenneth Walker-based offense, there was nothing wrong with it. They were still winning games and things like that. But it was a cool, all right, they're moving. Kenneth Walker might have a big game every now and then. But now that you say that you have Zach, and then once Kenneth get healthy, you have both of them, which means you have a consistent running game to go along with people that can catch the ball out the backfield. That makes everything much easier for Geno. And then eventually the defense is going to collapse. The defense is going to try to pin down some of these quick routes that they do. And that's when you have a DK that's waiting to have a huge game to go over top of everybody. So with that being said, I think Seattle is prime ready to make a run straight into the playoffs. And unfortunately for Arizona, you did good so far, sir. You did good. No one expected that, but try again next year.
It's over. Yeah. I like Geno. I think he even played a really good, solid performance. When you got the running back clicking like that, throwing for 230, that ain't bad.
Turn the ball over.
You know what I mean? That's good ball control. And again, this Arizona's defense has been better. So again, up and down though. You never know what you're gonna get out of them. Next up, Jesus. Hey,
Go ahead and defend your boy.
as a man, I'm one of those people. I admit when I'm wrong. Okay, Kirk Cousins is done. All right, this is it.
Took you 14 weeks to see that?
No, for 2024. I'm not saying for his career. I just think this year is the wheels have kind of fallen off. I don't know if it's health. I don't know if it's just the offensive line. I know it's the offensive line. I don't think I have to think about that part. The guy's just getting creamed, man, and I think he's hearing footsteps at this point because now he's throwing the ball without
let
regard
me help
for
with
what's happening. Like
this reminds me of Tom Brady his last year when he will get pressure, and then sometimes he doesn't even get pressure, but he thinks that he's getting pressure, so he throws the ball, and then the receiver either isn't there or hopefully it doesn't get turned over. The problem with Kirk is that it's starting to lead into interceptions. So yes, that jittery thing that you're saying, I know exactly what you're saying.
In the last, I think 4 weeks or something like that.
Zero touchdowns, 8 interceptions last 4 games.
It's like pathetic, and I love Kirk, but I never seen him play like this. As much as y'all can joke. Much of y'all can say he's never played like this. Never. On his worst day, he wasn't this bad. Like I really don't know what to say. I'm ashamed. I'm hoping the guy bounces back next year because I like him. He's got a good attitude.
Bounce back in Atlanta?
I think so. I don't think they have a
Absolutely
reason
not
to get rid of him. Maybe let's see he's backup or whatever. But if they get rid of
bounce back as the backup.
What do you mean? If they go and put Penix Jr. out there and Penix don't play well,
on the sideline.
So you think Kirk Cousins should retire? He's done. Oh,
I did not say that.
All right.
Say, what are you saying? Do you bounce back to the backup? That's not bouncing back, sir.
He will bounce back.
To his point.
Again, we've seen some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time have a bad season. I mean, look, the guy.
At the end?
Okay, we've seen him in the middle. Like, you never seen a good quarterback have a bad stretch?
Give me an example.
You're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Give me an example.
Plenty of Tony Romo stinkers. And then
we act like he was great and then fell off. He was okay. He was good.
Was effective. I put Tony Romo and Kirk
Cousins
on similar levels. Like I ain't saying Kirk Cousins is Aaron Rodgers in his peak or nothing like that.
Tony Romo was way more talented than Kirk Cousins.
On the surface, he was, but look at the numbers. I don't think he was that much better. What we saw from Kirk in Washington, and then what we saw in Minnesota, he was an effective.
You wasn't a Kirk Cousins fan in Washington.
I wasn't a fan, but I can observe and say the man was effective with the football. I mean, when RG3 was clicking, yeah, he was fun to watch. But when Kirk needed to come in there and get the job done, Kirk did. Now, he earned that money in Minnesota. He ain't just get that out of thin air. Again, we're talking about this year. He has kind of fallen off the cliff. Go ahead, my friend.
All right. So this is more so about the Vikings, okay? The Vikings straight shallywhack this particular Atlanta Falcons team. So we're going to give some love to Sam Darnold, who threw for 5 touchdowns. He found Justin Jefferson. We was looking for him. Where's Justin at? Oh, he showed up. All right. So you have Sam Darnold that's finally connected with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Anderson. That's the problem. So he's getting his full team involved. 5 touchdowns. I don't think he had an interception. This is Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings defense led by Brian Flores that took it to the Atlanta Falcons. So yes, Kirk Cousins is his 2024 campaign demise. We know that, but it was more so to me the Minnesota Vikings and what they did and putting themselves high in their division.
Look, let's not act like the game was out of hand the whole time. It was a tie game going into the fourth quarter, and then the wheels fell off. I mean, it is what it is. Like, but
Kirk Cousins, when he looks at his receivers, he only sees 2. Just like the controller on your shirt, it's A and B. That's his only options.
That's not
and then it's going to be an interception.
Well, when you only got 3 seconds to throw the football, when you only got 3 seconds to throw the football, and your tight end act like he can't get open for some reason, that's what's going to happen. He has no check down guy. Your running back runs so wide out in the flat. If you play a zone defense cover 2, all the linebacker do or the corner do is sit down. They waiting for him every time. Like it's a stupid. Like whatever. Go ahead. I'll go ahead. Go ahead, Calvin. Your thoughts.
Look, I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is done. I'm saying I think he's done in Atlanta. I think even if he may not make the route the rest of the he may not make it out the rest of the season based off his performance and based off the way they're talking down there. They feel as though Michael Penix Jr. is better equipped to lead this offense. And there's only one way to find out. I'm not saying he's not an adequate quarterback. I'm just saying his mobility is done. He's less mobile. Maybe that does that. Will that be? Will he be better?
I don't care who they put back
2 years post Achilles surgery. He's pushing 40. I mean, I'm not saying he was never a decent quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at this point, are there better options than him even in Atlanta?
So when you say that they need an offensive line, Larry, you're right. It's not. So
like when you go with more mobile quarterback, then
so you might need to go to the mobile quarterback option to try to make time.
I think that is the biggest myth in the history of football.
You see Lamar Jackson do it week in, week out. He buys time. You see Jayden Daniels doing it this year. He's buying time.
Offensive line isn't as bad as you think. That's the problem.
I'm not knocking it, but you act like you haven't seen times when he buys time.
Look at Caleb Williams. Look at
Caleb is not mobile.
Richardson. Huh?
Caleb is not really mobile.
Caleb is mobile. He's not really.
He's
not a statue.
He's not an athlete.
He's not a statue.
He's not athletic. He's
not a running quarterback, but he can move. Don't act like he can't move. And
he moved in college. College and NFL is different.
So he forgot how to run.
Like, no, I'm not. I'm saying the speed of the game is different.
Not the same exact person. Jameis Winston ran the ball sometimes in college. He did not run the ball in the NFL.
Jameis Winston is not Caleb Williams' speed. Like, let's not act like that.
He's not an
what I'm saying is the biggest myth is what happens sometimes with a running quarterback is because you're still attempting to throw the ball, you rely on your athleticism thinking you'll get yourself out of this play. Oh, I can get myself out of this play. And that's when the sacks start piling up. We've seen this throughout history with running quarterbacks. If the offensive line is not giving them
sacks too.
Again, but I feel like most times if you're a good like instinct quarterback, it's not necessarily about how fast you are moving with your feet. It's about your brain being able to time your throws, how quick your release is, going through your progressions quickly.
Kurt got the jitters.
I say Kurt is
him.
I say Kurt. If you're watching these games like I'm watching them, the man snaps and drops back 3 steps and they in his face already. And at some point, you got a chip or something. Look at. We were just talking about whose offensive line is terrible. The Cincinnati Bengals. Sometimes Burrow doesn't even have time to do anything. He still get the ball away because he still got that. I give him all the credit in the world. I give him all the credit in the world. Kurt is something that got beat out of him. It's just not there.
It's time to go in a different direction. You say what we saying.
Nah, it's just a bad year. They need to show up that off. Look at Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is getting killed. He's getting killed. If you're watching these Kansas City games,
and what does he do? He makes plays by extending the pocket.
The offense.
He just made a play when he threw the ball across his body in the air.
Do you see how many plays Andy been calling lately where they moved, put him on a roll, some rollouts, they block the backside and let him kick out? That's called creativity. Atlanta don't do none of that. I just told you.
You can't roll out with Kurt. He can't move.
He can move. He's not no statue.
Post Achilles surgery?
He was at the beginning of the season. But he can move. At this point, he won't be able to move. He's taking so many hits.
Just move about the same speed.
No. Don't disrespect my man. Aaron Rodgers is a statue.
He's disrespecting himself by his quarterback play.
I
disagree.
Post Achilles surgery ain't the same. Like maybe he'll be better.
Again,
you just said at the beginning of the year he was doing fine. No, he wasn't.
I said at the beginning of the year he was terrible. He got better. We was just talking about Kurt for weeks. Kurt was on riding high atop the NFC South. And things the last 4 games, if you want to really be honest, the last 4 games, the wheels have fallen off. That's when it started going down. Before that, go back to them Tampa games. If you want to talk. All right. Next up.
He saw the blitz coming. It's not hard.
Exactly. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Cleveland Browns. I only bring up this game because we talked earlier about whether the Chiefs will falter. Well, what about the Steelers? Do you think there's a chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers will hold on to this AFC North? Because I've been looking at this schedule, and there is a chance that the Ravens could catch them. Calvin, I know this is more of a question probably for you and how you've been studying these things. What's your thoughts when you look at this Steelers schedule? They got the Chiefs. They got Philly this week. That's they 2 wins ahead of the Ravens. That if the Ravens beat them head to head and they lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Eagles, that's 3. That gets them right there with a head-to-head victory. What's your thoughts?
Let me say this. It would not surprise me if the Pittsburgh Steelers did not win another game in the regular season.
That's crazy.
Based off their schedule. I don't have them beating Philly this week. I think the Ravens beat them at home. I think the Chiefs beat them on Christmas. And then you end the season with the Bengals, who, if they're 8-8 and they're fighting for that 7 seed,
that's true.
They have it. So and I also say if you look at the numbers, they're not going to be favorite in a game maybe until the Bengals game.
Yeah.
So the odds
you got to come to Baltimore.
Yeah. You go to Philly. You go to Baltimore, and the last 2 games are at home, but one's against the Chiefs. And no matter what we said about the Chiefs and their lackluster play this year, they continue to win.
Still a threat.
So and I look, I'm big on quarterbacks. And how many games are you going to say Russ is the better quarterback?
Hey,
you're going to say Philadelphia, maybe.
Russ been cooking though, man. I'm not going to take nothing away from him.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but like I said, it would not surprise me if they don't win a ball game the rest of the year.
And y'all got 5, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the big game is 2. You got
to beat them, and they got to lose another game. But
if they beat us.
Wait, what's the tiebreaker is head to head, then it's division records, but they'll both finish, but they've already lost 2 games. So
they lost to Cleveland, and they would have lost to 1. They lost 1. So if they lose to Baltimore, they would have lost. They would have lost 2. And likewise, the Ravens, if they beat Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they would have only lost 2. But they still got a game with Cincinnati last game of the season.
That's what I'm saying. I said if they win that one and the Ravens win the last one against Cleveland, then they both would have only lost 2. So then you go to whatever the next tiebreaker is. I think it's common opponents at that point.
Or maybe common.
Maybe it's conference and common opponents. I have to check. And so we'll have to see what that is. But conference would mean, but if you lose to Baltimore and the Chiefs, that's 2 AFC teams, and where Baltimore's lost to 4.
So basically, Baltimore has to do their job.
Oh yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
you got to do your job.
That was never even a doubt.
Understood. I wasn't saying that y'all said that y'all didn't say that.
The Ravens have to win out. If the Ravens win out and Pittsburgh loses, let's say 2 games, then it comes down to tiebreakers.
I'm gonna check. Let me check the tiebreakers while we think.
Yeah, but I think it's important because if they say they beat Philly, that's a common opponent. But they lose to Kansas City, we didn't beat Kansas City. We lost to Kansas City.
But if they lose to Kansas City as
well.
But
that's a conference opponent.
The problem is, I think the Ravens would have only lost 1 in the NFC, and that would have been to Philadelphia because we know Lamar's record against the NFC.
He's only lost 1.
Pittsburgh has lost to. They lost to the Cowboys. Forgot about that.
That looks bad. We beat the Cowboys.
They lost to the Browns.
And the Browns.
And the Browns. So they would have lost 2. They would have lost 2 in the AFC.
Yeah.
So if it's 2 close, it's head to head.
Probably say the same thing about how y'all lose to the Raiders.
Yeah.
It's
head to head.
They say the same. It's
division record and win loss percentage in common games. So that's the third tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the division will be the same. So then it will go down to the AFC West and the NFC East.
With all that being said, how do you feel about Mike Tomlin's decision to rest George Pickens? Because they said he could have played, but he said with the remaining schedule, he said he made a choice to sit him.
Obviously, it was the right
call.
You
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it?
No. You remember what happened last week in that game when George got the taunting penalty, 2 taunting penties?
He did get 2 taunting penalties. You think that was more of a benching?
I think it was a suspension. And they just don't want to call it.
Hadn't leaked out yet? Well, I feel like this. If it's suspension, it's going to be on Hard Knocks.
We're going to find out, ain't we?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out what was said about, or maybe we won't. That's the thing. That's the thing about them shows. But come on. You in a heat right now. You in a heat that's a division game. Every division game matters more than any other thing out there. Ain't like you just coasting. You got an opportunity, outside chance to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Oh, I'm going to give George Pickens rest. Really? Really? Of all people on the team, George Pickens needs rest. Not the quarterback, not the TJ Watt.
Only played about half the game so far.
You know what's crazy? As I look at this win-loss percentage of common game, they tied as well. Because if they lose to the Chiefs, they would have lost to both the Chiefs and the Eagles.
True.
And they would have the same record in the division.
We gotta beat them head up at that point.
No, I'm just saying. I'm going through the tiebreakers. I'm going down the tiebreakers.
But it wouldn't be no tiebreak at that point.
It would be.
You said they beat the if they lose to the Eagles and the Chiefs.
It's best win-loss tied percentage in common games. They both play the NFC East and the AFC West. So they both would have lost to the Chiefs and the Eagles and beat the other. Well, the Ravens lost to the Raiders. So
no, my point was
that's the conference one.
Yeah.
No, it's common game. That's common games.
Yeah.
Best win-loss in common games.
My point was you're assuming that the Steelers lose to the Eagles and the Chiefs, right?
Yes.
That puts them at the same record. My point was then you have to beat them
head up.
Okay.
And then that takes the whole tiebreaker thing off the table.
I see what you're saying. So if they lose those three, and the Ravens win those three,
well then the Ravens still need to beat Cleveland because
for the conference record, they got to win out.
Ravens got to win out. I always assume
out.
that they gave themselves no wiggle room after they look. Philly ain't a bad loss, but again, they hurt themselves. The Cleveland game was the game.
No, that was the Raiders. The Cleveland and the Raiders game were the game because if you lose to Philly, okay, they're a tough team. You lose to the Chiefs, okay, they're a tough team. You lose to Pittsburgh on the road, okay, I expect to split with them.
You expect even before the season, you expected to split with Cleveland. To be honest, the Raiders game but that was second game of the season. That's why I said it's hard to go all the way back to at that point.
No,
the Browns game was when the Ravens were clicking. Huh?
At the same time, but we all, mainly you were leading this charge. If you run the ball, it's a different thing. If they would have ran the ball way back when, they wouldn't even have this problem now. You beat those easy teams, so
both games
it catches up with you.
Yeah, it catches up with you. All right. Anyway, next up,
or make a field goal
on Monday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Dallas Cowboys 27-20. Very, very, very controversial ending to this game.
Wasn't no damn controversy. You don't know the damn rules.
Nah. It was controversy. You ain't hear what Jerry said? Jerry said they shouldn't have blocked it.
Hey, yo, why I thought that was like a yarmulke or something on that man's head. Oh, man. Clearly it's not. I'm not saying that he's a part of that religion. I'm just saying it looked like
Jerry said the man shouldn't have blocked the kick. You got to know the rules that, don't block it. And then you give your punt returner a chance to make a return. Ain't that right, Cal?
That is the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. This is why I say you can't listen to Jerry. So you want to catch the ball at the 25 with your backup quarterback and then to go 40 yards for a field goal versus getting the ball on the plus side of the field and only needing 10 yards for a field goal when you got arguably the best
or possibly scoring a touchdown.
The best kicker in the NFL, arguably. It made no sense. I see why Michael Parsons left. Can't wait for the podcast.
No, that's Bush League. You wait until the end of the game.
Yeah,
for him leaving, that was trash.
Yeah,
that was trash.
He was whining like a little bitch. Like, bruh, you had 60 minutes.
Look.
You had
go ahead and request
go
that
get
trade.
a strip sack.
I got Oway, Marcus Williams in a second for Parsons. Who says no?
No, this Cowboys. What the hell we want? What the hell we want? Martin Williams,
the main person,
and Oway. Two guys who can't even do shit with the Ravens. And now at a second, I want 3-1s. Like,
look, we gotta pay him too, so you can't have it all. So
yeah, man. I don't really have much to add to this one. You blocked.
It was entertaining.
Did you watch the Simpsons version?
Yeah, I was watching that.
That was funny
because the Jamar Chase one was when Lisa scored on home. Yeah, I watched.
Yo, you knew it too. As soon as who was that? The dude who was blind. The dude was catching all the interceptions. As soon as he bit on the man, I said, well, that's the game. Because I was playing Jamar Chase in fantasy. I said, it didn't matter. I still won. But I was like, damn, if this was close, that would have really hurt my heart. Yeah, man. It's the Cowboys. And y'all had an outside chance. That's the quiet part. if you look at the wild card race,
It was always kind of around. Yeah.
He was hanging around, man. That win would have made it very interesting.
You know how they didn't have a chance when they already said Dak is out for the season. There was no chance. There was no chance.
Hey, man, shout out to Cooper Rush, man. He never gave up. Hey, y'all might got a little running back. What's going on? What's happening?
You know, if no matter what he does, they still taking Genty in the first round. They still want to take Genty in the first round.
You think they'd be at the position to take him the way y'all been winning?
You gonna what, from 15, 16, missing the playoffs? Yeah.
Okay. I like the way he been running. What's his name?
Rico.
Doyle.
Okay. Yeah. He been running pretty hard. Good on him.
Yeah, running for his job.
He's still gonna be second. He's gonna be second string next year.
Also, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 28-13.
Y'all knocked my man Aiden out the game.
The Raiders have been playing pretty tough here lately, so I think there's a pretty quality win for the Bucs. We saw Aiden O'Connell almost beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. Played hard last week, and then this week they ran into pretty much a buzzsaw. Everything probably I was pretty happy, but I'm pretty pissed off because all I needed from Bucky Irvin was 40 yards on the ground. 40 yards.
Didn't he score though? He scored, right?
I didn't need no touchdown. I needed 40 yards. Thanks, Bucky. Justin, tell us about this game.
Hey, shout out to Bucky Irvin and Shaun White for holding it down. They are catching the ball out the backfield. We have replaced Chris Godwin with running backs with the two I just mentioned, and it's starting to do wonders. The screen passes that they're catching is starting to make the offense go back into what it was in the beginning of the season. Mike Evans is still doing his thing. He just leaped hurdle some foolish defender. I'm like, what year is this for Mike Evans? And he's doing that crazy work. Like I said, if Baker can just avoid that second quarter, which on cue through an interception, I was like, Jesus, every time that 15 minutes come, he's going to throw in.
I think he might have a prop bet. Go ahead.
So with that being said, he didn't play the best. This wasn't a Baker Mayfield game. It was just an overall Tampa Bay game, and we played well. So it was an expected victory, and I'm glad that we got out with no major injury. We lost Antoine for a game or two, but we'll be okay.
What's the story on Bucky Irvin? Because he left the game.
No long-term effects. So
so he could have went back in, but instead.
I'm not saying that either.
My parlay. Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that either.
40 yards. That's all I needed, and he gave me like 3. Thanks, pal.
I think he wanted to play, but they might have said sit down.
That's why I don't ever put Bucks on my parlay.
You shouldn't. Yeah.
I used to put Mike Evans, but he don't even get in the end zone no more. I don't know what's
that is true.
Pathetic. K. Otten. I can't.
He had a good game. He had a great game.
Yeah, but it's not consistent. I'm sorry. Next up. The Miami Dolphins defeated the New York Jets. Look, man, I had the Dolphins.
It's been great if they won last week.
Number 1 seed. Exactly. All they needed to do was beat Green Bay in that damn snow game last week. And this team would be probably the most dangerous team about to hit the playoffs, man. They still might get in. But damn, if they'd have won last week, it'd have been a lot more easy. But overtime, Tua pulled it off. Calvin, your thoughts?
Miami offense can be dangerous at time.
Potent.
And I think this was the one game in which it seemed as though the Jets had control of the entire game until late. And then we go into overtime. And Tua and Tyreek Hill work their magic. They're still a dangerous team. They're a lot dangerous than the New York Jets, who haven't won a game in felt like forever. But look, I'm happy to see that they're an exciting team. They're an exciting offense. I'm happy to see them clicking. Defense is a lot worse than I thought they would be. But they've tried to hold this team for the majority of the season. It'll be interesting to see if they can make a push late. Can they get that 7 seed? Can they continue to push, the Chargers and Denver and try to get that last playoff seed?
Justin?
Texans, 49ers, Browns, and Jets. Are you telling me that they can win out and then see where the chips fall after that?
They can beat them all.
That's what we're talking about.
They can beat them all.
honestly, that's why I had them where I had them in
Yeah.
in my power rankings, because I saw this. It was just that one big game I thought that they can actually knock
Where
down.
did you have them?
They were 7th. I brought them in. Not last week. It was the week before.
No,
I had to take
say
them out.
when?
That's
What?
none of
Take
last week.
I had to take them out.
Had to take 'em.
But
When was
but
this?
it was the projection of them beating Green Bay to this
It needed
point
to
where
beat
as though
Green Bay.
they had their own shot. So this is, like I said, this is like y'all said, it's a dangerous team. Waddle and Hill are starting to fire on cylinders.
Waddle been hot,
and like I
boy.
said, that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's been a reoccurring thing that we've been saying so far. When you start to have your full complement of weapons and you're using them, and shout out to that tight end Jonnu Smith, he's been balling as a late.
Yeah.
Like they're literally
Yeah.
starting to get the wheels turning. It might be just a sec too late, but we'll see. It's fun to watch.
We'll make
Fun
it
to watch.
fun down the stretch. Yeah, and this guy. Any thoughts?
Tip your head out to you, Rod.
It's over. Yeah, it's over,
man.
Walk away.
Going to Seattle next year?
All right, any games that we didn't talk about that you're interested in bringing up? Anybody? I think we covered all the good ones for the most part. Shout out to the 49ers.
San Fran, Chicago, they just
Yeah.
turned out running backs up there. They
Yeah.
on their 4th string running back, I think. And
he
I
ran-
didn't even realize that they play Thursday, so Mason may not even play because they on a short week.
I thought he told IR. They ain't put him on IR.
No, I'm talking about. I'm sorry,
Grindle?
Guerrero. Yeah,
Oh,
I said Mason. I meant yeah. It's a short
Okay.
week, so he may not even play.
That's offensive scheme, man.
yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. Shanahan. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we talked about all the games that really matter. So let's keep it moving. Division standings, pretty much everything stays pretty much status quo. Except for Tampa Bay has leaped the Atlanta Falcons in the South. Congratulations, Justin. Your team is back where you expected them to be. The Houston Texans, man. 6-5, leading the South.
That's the team I cannot put it.
Nobody can.
I ain't got to read on them, man.
And 8-5, excuse me. But it's just like you never know what you're gonna really get out there.
You think they're in danger of losing the division?
No.
They play Baltimore.
I need to look at that schedule. Yeah.
They play Baltimore. They play Pittsburgh. Do they play Pittsburgh? They have the Dolphins this week, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Titans.
They could lose 3 of them right there.
So all of a sudden that's 9-8.
What's Indy's schedule?
Indy has the Broncos, the Colts. I'm sorry, but the Broncos, the Titans,
the Giants, and the Jaguars.
So they can win 3. They could win 3.
They can catch them.
They can win 3 and they
can catch them.
They can lose 3. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's wild. And I put Indy in the playoffs. That's wild. So Miami could hold up. Let me see Miami.
Well, I mean,
we'll look at that later. We'll look.
We just talked about Miami, right? We just talked about Miami played.
We already looked at that. So let's go to our power rankings before we talk about anything else. So get your list together. So last week we started with you, Justin, I believe. So I'll start this week with my top 7, and pretty much, to be honest with you, I mean, Buffalo lost this week. Everybody else won. I'm not going to be.
Green Bay lost.
Oh, Green Bay did lose. They weren't that impressive in losing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top. I think Detroit is still the best at number 1 for me. Philadelphia, while not super impressive in victory,
they won.
I think that winning still matters in this league. So I got them at number 2. Buffalo losing will drop them down a few spots in my power rankings. So I'll put Kansas City at number 3 on my list. Minnesota's been a little bit more impressive than what Seattle, even though Seattle had a good win over Arizona. So I think I will keep Seattle there. I'm going to go Minnesota. I'm going to keep Buffalo in my top 7.
Man, you dropped them a lot for a close loss.
They were number 3 on my list. I dropped them 3 spots. That's not bad.
That's
They were number They were number 3. That's not bad. I still think that I like Seattle. You know, I want to do this. I'm moving Minnesota up 1. And I was thinking about that. And then rounding out my top 7. And I know this might be, I don't think it's much of a stretch because the way they've been playing here lately, I think they've earned this spot. And they appear to be a team that that's on the come up, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, will that last much longer? I don't know. But for now, they get in there. The only team dropping out of my 7 is the Green Bay Packers. That's mine. Calvin, let's go with you. What you got?
At 7, I got Pittsburgh as well. Avenging that loss to Cleveland. 2 games up in the division, it's still rolling. So they have, like I said, they avenged that loss. I got to give them their props this week, even though they do play a tough Philly team next week. Next, I got Minnesota. I got them up 1 spot, beating Atlanta.
Wow.
I'm not going to drop. I'm sorry. I had Denver next, and then I had Minnesota. I was going to say I'm not going to drop Denver out of my top 7 because they did not play. However, I do think the teams above them or teams around them had more impressive victories. So I got to drop them 1 spot, put Minnesota there. And then my top 5, I'm going to go top 4. I'm going to go KC at 4. I'm going to go Buffalo at 3, and then Philly and Detroit.
So you didn't drop.
I dropped Buffalo 1. I had them 2 last week. I think they played a pretty tough opponent, and they were able to hang around.
That's why I take.
But this is my thing with Buffalo is I still think overall they're a better team than Kansas City. So I'm not going to knock them for losing to a team in the shootout, and I still think they're a better team. And this is me giving Josh Allen some props. I just said that.
No, I agree with credit for that, but I don't think it makes sense in this context.
Okay.
They lost to a team that was nowhere near your top 7 in the Los Angeles.
You don't know why I had the Rams.
You ain't had them near your top 7.
I didn't have them in my top 7 or 8 or 9, but I'm not
or
saying
10.
I didn't think they were pretty.
Real.
They're a team that's
they're not even in the
division.
Like, come on.
They're 7. I thought they were 7 now.
Now, but I'm just saying, like, let's slow down. You gonna put them above the Chiefs after
they beat the Chiefs head to head. I can't get that out of my mind. And it was decisive. It wasn't close. It wasn't a close. The score wise may have been close, but when you watch that game, they manhandled the Chiefs. Do you want to blame the weather or being in Buffalo? They manhandled the Chiefs, in my opinion.
It's your list, Justin. What's your thoughts? Yours.
I've been going back and forth, but for 1 week, I'm gonna show Seattle some love, and they're gonna be number 7 for me.
Like you say, for 1 week, like they're gonna lose next week.
I think they're gonna lose.
They play Seattle. They play San Francisco. Who they play?
It doesn't matter. They're not staying.
You're a hater. Go ahead.
Next is Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
After that, this is tough. I'm not gonna lie, but
it is tough.
How's it tough? You're gonna have the same 5 we all got.
But when you take L, you take L. Next is let's go with Buffalo.
I agree. You gotta drop them. You got to.
I dropped them.
Hey, I respect it. You finally giving Buffalo some credit.
Let's go with Minnesota.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Minnesota's a better team than Buffalo right now?
If they play head to head, what I just saw,
I think the injuries for Buffalo is tough.
I think they could be Buffalo.
Okay. I don't
gotta get healthy.
I don't think Sam Darnold will score 40 points.
You putting a lot on Josh Allen with
he's the MVP, right? So okay. Carry that.
I agree.
Philadelphia Eagles next.
You got Kansas City too?
I got Kansas City going back at number 2.
He had Kansas City. He's been consistent with that pretty much.
Yeah. They lose one game, you drop them to 3. Philadelphia win 1 game. Wait. Who was more impressive in beating Carolina? Was it Kansas City or Philadelphia?
They both were similar.
One has to be more than the other.
They both were similar.
So we all dropped Green Bay from our list this week. All right, so let's recap.
I probably got them just off.
You're the only people with Denver at number 6. Wow, you got Denver being better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's wild. Like, justify that for me.
You got Seattle being better than Pittsburgh.
Oh, you got to answer this question. Denver?
I think Denver surprised that quarterback with Bo Nix. Decent defense. Cortland Sutton taking off.
How much money did they win for you?
Who Denver?
Yes.
I'm trying
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
I ain't saying that.
He hit a lick on Denver.
I'm not upset at their play Monday night against Cleveland a couple weeks ago. So
hold up. So let me ask you a question. I'm looking at this Denver schedule. Denver has beaten the Buccaneers on game 3, the Jets, the Raiders, the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Browns. They have beaten no team other than
they only could play the teams on their schedule. That's something.
No. I'm just asking from a just pure who they've lost to: the Seahawks, division leader, the Steelers, division leader, the Chargers, in the division rival, the Ravens, possible wild card, Chiefs.
If I remember that they lost to Pittsburgh, I might have swapped them, but I didn't remember that. But however, what I'm looking at with Denver, they're an 8-5. They're 8-5 team who's won 8 games based off their schedule.
Yeah.
They had possibly the rookie of the year in the NFL, or definitely in the AFC, possibly in the NFL. They're a team that's competing for a playoff spot when no one gave them a chance before the beginning of the season. And they're a team that's holding their own. And right now they're in the playoffs. And I just think as a whole, this team is coming together and playing well. I can't hold against them who they haven't played. I don't think they're as good a team as the Ravens.
I'm not holding them against who they haven't played.
I'm just saying
I'm holding against who they have played. All the winning teams they played, they lost.
At this point, I have them in the playoffs. They are in the playoffs, and I think they're a decent team and deserve some respect.
But you just said if you knew that, then you would have flip flopped.
I said if I knew that, I might have flip flopped. If I remember that, I might have flip flopped. I might have flip flopped is what I said. Yes, if I remember that they lost to Pittsburgh, but that game was in Denver, correct? It wasn't in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, it was in Pittsburgh, correct?
Let's see. It was here recently. It wasn't that long ago. No, it was at home. It was at home.
It was week 2.
I mean,
they lost 13.
Things happened. This is season.
We just talked about week 2. We talked about the Ravens. Like how long ago was that?
I'm not disagreeing, but the Ravens not in my top 7 either.
And the last time I checked,
and they got the same record.
This Broncos
and we beat the Ravens head. We beat the Broncos head to head.
This Broncos team beat the Bucks in week 3. If we talk about going back,
hold up.
No. We're not gonna bring out the Bucks.
Hold up.
Larry about to make it. Go ahead, Larry. What you about to say?
The Ravens and the Broncos have the exact same record. Correct.
You're right.
8-5.
You're right.
The Steelers have beaten the Broncos. The Ravens have beaten the Broncos. The Broncos haven't beat anybody except the Bucks. That's their best win.
The Steelers have beat the
Broncos
as well.
6. Not at 7. You got them at 6 on your list when the Ravens have the exact same record and have higher quality wins. Explain.
I'm giving them the props over Seattle. Over
a division leader.
A division leader who I think they actually beat them too. Remember correctly?
No, they did not.
Okay. I remember them playing. No. I'm talking about the Broncos. I'm talking about the Broncos beating the Seahawks.
Lost the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm sorry, I said it back. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
They lost everybody.
And they're 8-5. They're in the playoff hunt. They had the rookie of the year.
Just say you made a mistake. And let's
call it. I'm riding with Denver.
Okay.
I'm riding with Denver for the time being.
I think me and you got the same teams, just in a different order. So I can't haggle with you.
That is correct.
So either way, I thought Minnesota had a good week. They played well. It'll be interesting. This all play itself out like it often does. Let's keep it moving. Good power rankings for this week. Let's look at this matchups right now. So same teams basically have been in there, except for now you have Tampa Bay at the 4 seed, jumping Atlanta. So it'll be the representative. You have Washington sitting at that 7 seed, which is going to be very competitive to see who holds on for that. Right now, if you go back and look at the standings, Washington is at 8-5, and would you have the Rams right there, a game back, and it's going to be tough, man.
On a stretch,
but Green Bay 9-4, Minnesota, that's 2 wild cards right there. Minnesota, Green Bay. So basically, Washington has that third one. So that other wild card is really going to be the one that tells the tale. Will the Rams catch them? Does Atlanta get hot again? I don't know, but that'll be interesting.
Atlanta got to win out.
Yeah, in the hunt, in the AFC, you got the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. And if you look at it, we looked at the Colts schedule earlier. They possibly could catch the Texans in the South. The Dolphins, very good chance they can make a run. And then you got the Bengals, who have an outside chance. If you, like I say, go back and look at the records. Cincinnati is sitting at 5-8. Is it possible for them to get hot? I don't know. Right now, you got the Chargers at 8-5. You got Denver at 8-5.
They play each other though.
Yeah, so that will play.
Cincinnati and Denver play each other, so that may be.
They're going to hope
tiebreaker.
Indy's going to be hoping for one of them 2 teams to, drop a couple games, give them an opportunity. Again, it's going to be interesting coming down the stretch. Any thoughts on any of that, Justin?
The reason why it's interesting because some of those teams are feature high power offense. When you talk about the Dolphins and the Bengals, those are high powered offense that can win any game, any given week, especially in the playoffs. So it's interesting the teams that's on the bubble more so than anything else.
The Bengals got a favorable schedule as well. The Titans, the Browns, the Broncos, and the Steelers. So
the Broncos is a tough game. And that Steelers game, so they.
If they win those 3, and the Steelers game is the last game, if you tell me, they got to beat the Steelers to get in, and the Steelers are already reeling, losing 2 of 3 or 3 or 4 going into that game, then I just think that's interesting.
I'll say this: if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm all right at 5. I'll stay right where I'm at, and if I can, I'll sit right here and be just fine playing the Texans in the first round. I have no problem with that.
All right, let's Well, wait. So you would rather be 5 to win if you had a choice to win a division?
No, you wouldn't. I'm saying if you're not going to, 5 is fine. Let's take a look at these preseason predictions as we do each and every week. Anything, jump out that I will say this: that Rams, Green Bay, Washington, right now, all 3 of them. Very, very possible, but Minnesota might be the problem. So
I have Rams, Green Bay, Bucks, which is possible.
Yeah, well, you had Atlanta in there, so
that's Chicago. I mean, Atlanta win the division. Chicago pick looks terrible though. Someone on the far right side of the screen.
Yeah, he had a chance to swap that out. That Jets pick.
I did.
Both of y'all. Ugh. Oh yeah,
the Browns.
Hey. It wasn't bad preseason.
The Jets wasn't bad in the preseason.
Things went. Oh no, they was always bad. Y'all just didn't see it. Let's look ahead to next week. Got some matchups coming up. Baltimore has the Giants. Not much to speak for there, but we got 3 big matchups. You got the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions, and at the same time, that's which got me. Both of these are 4:00 games: Buffalo, Detroit, and Pittsburgh and Philly. Those are the 2 key marquee matchups for the weekend. Any thoughts? Do y'all see Buffalo going into Detroit and get the win?
I don't. I like Detroit at home. And I went to this earlier because I also thought that Buffalo could fall out at 2 spot. But, this is their last tough game of the year, and I don't see them losing another game. But I don't have them beating Detroit.
Justin?
For that particular game, if you tell me Keon Coleman is playing, then I think they got a strong shot of beating them.
They were missing Kincaid and Coleman last week.
So you tell me that Josh has his weapons.
42.
I think he can go in Detroit and beat him.
Okay. Any other games stand out to any of you? I know it's one.
Well, for me, the Chargers and the Bucks. I stayed away from a lot of Bucks games when it came to this type of pick 'em format. Mm-hmm. But
It's a big one.
We are hitting the corner, and to go against the Chargers, which they're trying to adjust their playoff position as well. So it's definitely a big game. So I'm definitely looking towards how we do against them.
Calvin,
Miami, Houston. I mean, Miami's offense has been kind of picking up as of late, and Houston has been mediocre. Don't know what to expect from them week to week for whatever reason. So this is where Miami makes their run. This is where Houston possibly starts to fall out of that division.
2 games for me. Don't sleep on that Cleveland Browns Kansas City game. Very, very dangerous place to go into Cleveland. And the way Kansas City been playing, we just seen it with Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. You go up there, strange things happen. So don't be surprised if Cleveland
got James on the other side.
No, don't be surprised if it and then Seattle and Green Bay. I really want to see that these two teams sometimes just over the years something always happens. Didn't they used to be in the same division? And so like it just seemed like they always match up like with a big game or something like over the years.
They played in the
Mike
Holmgren. Yeah, because he was coaching for Green Bay. Then he went to Seattle. Always some kind of way these two teams had some type of interaction.
The substitute refs that one game.
Yeah. And then the playoff game.
Wasn't that the game like Green Bay was up and then Seattle came back? I think that was one year they went to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Maybe the year they won the Super Bowl actually.
Seattle went to the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah, back-to-back years.
I think they beat them both times because Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback.
I know they beat them that one year in Seattle where they were down like I remember Seattle like faked the field goal. Crazy. That was the first year. They like faked the field goal to get on the board and then they started running the score after that.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then the next year was the replacement refs, matter of fact.
Yeah. Anyway, this good game for it's important for playoff placement. Who's going to make a run? This is good. This is a good weekend of football. We're excited for it. Before we get on to the NBA, real quick, Calvin, any quick thoughts on Hard Knocks? Have you checked it out?
So I'm assuming they're gonna. I mean, the Philly game will be on tonight's episode, but last week they really talked about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. What's crazy when you look at those two things. You look at all 4 teams, you can tell who has the worst facilities out of all 4 teams, and you can tell who has the best motivator out of all 4 teams as well. Those were 2 things that immediately stood out in the first episode for me.
Justin, did you get a chance to check it out?
No, I just read some reviews about it, and then I've definitely heard that it was heavy Pittsburgh, which Calvin just kind of vouched for in the same time, which is interesting. Mike Tomlin is He's a captivating dude. Very low key, but captivating at the same time. So I'm looking forward to see more highlights of the show.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into some NBA talk before we get out of here tonight. If you've been following the NBA Cup, it's been very interesting. We've come down to the Group A winners. We did a special show last week breaking this whole thing down. But just a quick recap. Milwaukee Bucks won Group B in the East. The New York Knicks Group A, Atlanta Group C, and the Orlando Magic were the wild card team. In the Western Conference, you had OKC Thunder as Group B winners. Houston took away with the title in Group A. Golden State was Group C, and then the Dallas Mavericks were the wild card. And that left us with a few matchups tonight and tomorrow. These are the knockout rounds, basically win or go home type of style. Today and tomorrow, the bracket is set up in a way where it was 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow. So tonight's game, first game, was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic. I was watching this game before we got on. It was tightly contested. And in the end, Milwaukee was able to walk away with the victory, 114-109. Damian Lillard came away with a late layup that really put the game away. Milwaukee got the win. Shout out to the Orlando Magic, who has been playing really well without some key players in the lineup. Calvin, I know before we came on, we were both watching this game. From what you saw, what did you see?
Orlando put up a tough fight with no Paolo and no Wagner. It was good to see. This is Middleton's 4th game back. So it's good to see him kind of getting back into the rhythm. He's been the subject of some trade inquiries.
He ain't going nowhere,
which is interesting. Well, from what I read, the team that they want to trade him to doesn't want to make the deal because they have bigger hopes, bigger Greek hopes, and that they're looking forward to. But I think this was a good one for Milwaukee, who's been playing well. Giannis has been playing really well the last
MVP's like
2-3 weeks, kind of taking over this team, kind of defying the Doc Rivers stigma and leading this team. So hopefully they can get this. They can continue to win and go to the finals. I think they're interesting. They're a good team to watch now that they're playing well. Right now, we're looking at the Dallas and OKC game, but Milwaukee, I think due to the injuries on Orlando's side, it was tighter than it should have been. But Giannis and Dame Lillard stepped up when it was time in crunch time and led the team to victory.
So what we're going to do is shout out to Jamal Mosley. That's the head coach of Orlando, because he has them playing high competitive.
Hold up. Let me stop you right there. So you telling me coaching matters? Because I heard a discussion between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley last week. It was very interesting. Did y'all hear that discussion?
No.
Shaq got to be the dumbest person I ever heard.
Who was for coaching? Chuck?
Chuck. And Shaq, they don't matter about no coaches. It don't matter about no coaches.
The man didn't win until Phil got there.
The players out there doing their job. That's why they doing it. It was wonderful. Look it up when y'all get a chance. I was absolutely ashamed that this guy actually has a podcast and is on network television talking. Shaq, look, we all know Charles can say some outlandish things at times, but for Shaq to get up there with the chest, meant it too. They don't have nothing to do no coaches. You lose Franz, you lose Paolo, you lose, and they still chugging along, and you don't think the coach got anything to do with that? Pathetic. Finish what you said. I'm sorry.
So to that point, when you lose your main guys, then it's not a philosophy of I can just give you the ball and let you dominate, which is what Shaq is probably saying. If I get the ball, no one can stop me. I'm the one that's controlling this thing. Well, what happens when you're not there?
Exactly.
Then what? So that'll be the very next thing I would have fed off of if I was Chuck. But it is what it is. So like we said, you lose your main two guys, and then now you got Jalen Suggs pretty much dropping 30. That's not a Jalen doesn't play like that often. That was a coaching decision to make the plays the way they did. So shout out to Jamal Mosley. He gets that. But Milwaukee's a better team. Milwaukee has better superstars. And like you said, when you have superstar talent versus a coaching-led team with no superstars, the talent usually leads out. And that's what happened in this situation. They almost blew it, but they had enough time. They had enough star power to win it, which is Dame pretty much closed that thing out. I am concerned about Chris Middleton. Yes, he came back, but yes, he scored 0 points. So I have to look at that twice. You're getting your feet wet. I hear you. I hear you.
Hey, he had 8 assists, though. Yeah, 8 assists.
That means you was playing hot potato with that basketball. I don't want to. There you go.
He hasn't been shooting well. But...
There you go.
Man, you know what I mean? He's a facilitator. He's a facilitator. 8 assists.
But we'll see. I'm more interested in the conclusion of the second game.
Shout out to Bobby Portis, man. My man Bobby out there.
Bobby came through tonight too.
22. You got Giannis with 37 and Dame give you a 28. That's a winning formula. But Tayshaun Prince 0. Jesus God, man. We just need more help. They need to make a trade. I don't know what the trade is. They don't have no assets to give up because they gave up everything to go get Dame. But you just need more help. Gary Trent, wake up. What are you doing? Help me. Shoot. Knock the ball down. It's not consistent enough. Anyway, second game tonight, which is ongoing right now. The Dallas Mavericks taking on the OKC Thunder. Currently, that game is in the third quarter, and the Thunder have a 7-point lead over the Mavericks. I haven't been able to check this out, but just looking at the box score, it looks like it's been pretty competitive throughout. Klay Thompson's got 11, but the real shocker, deep into the third quarter, and Luka Doncic only has 2 points. You need a little bit more from Luka, and Kyrie only has 7. I don't know. Again, without watching, I don't know what the defense is doing, but Shea is doing his thing, got 24. When you're star players, you got to come out each and every time playing like a star player. Justin, your thoughts on what we're seeing just from the stats from this game? Because right now, OKC's up by 11.
you got to see what's going on with Luca. Like I said, we're not watching the game because we're doing a show. So it's that. So we'll definitely have a better follow up when we come back. But with that being said, I see Shea came to play.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Luca. I was looking at assists. He only has 5 assists. I was hoping with 2 points you might have maybe close to the 8.
Hey, like my man Chris Middleton. You know what I mean?
You know, but
The
that's
fact
not
you're
happening
comparing them
either.
ain't a good thing.
Maybe Kyrie is taking a little bit too many shots. I'm not sure. But it is what it is. They're playing, and we'll see. Thunder came to play so far. That's what it looks like.
Luka 1 for 7 from the field, so he's just not shooting a high percentage.
That's Luka though. Sometimes he'll have that performance, and then second half he'll score 30 in the second half. So it ain't over. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how this thing played out. So we got about 10 minutes left on this joint. So we'll see how this game ends.
Yeah, Calvin, your thoughts?
Look, I'm worried about that offense. Luka's shooting 1 of 7. Their leading scorer is what's Marshall's first name?
Najee
Marshall leading them with 15. Clay's trying to do his part as well, but you need your guys step up in games like this. When you're playing, when this is a rematch of the Western Conference Finals, this is the games that you should want to prove and assert your dominance and say, this is why we went this is why we went to the finals, and this is why we are continuing to trying to go back. So I'm just worried about, like I said, I'm not really sure what's going on. Got to go back and watch it before instead of looking at the highlights, but just don't know what's going on with Luka. He's been on a very good stretch since he came back from that wrist injury, which I thought seemed to be like a little break to get yourself back in shape, but it seemed like he was playing well, and now he's having a bad game tonight. So we'll see if they can bounce back.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. They pretty much 9-1 at the last 10 games. They won the hottest team.
Hey! This is the tournament.
They want to, or you look. If you lose tonight, you get a little break because they're not going to play tomorrow, and then the whatchamacallit is
you want to win. You're
not
in
going to play
the
tomorrow.
tournament.
Not going to play Thursday.
Trophy on the line. Bring your
a little
game.
break.
Let's go. Tomorrow night we got 2 matchups. 7 o'clock. The Atlanta Hawks will take on the New York Knicks. Let's preview this matchup. Hawks have really been the surprise of the tournament, in my opinion. Playing some good basketball. We know the history of Atlanta and the New York Knicks over the last few years. Justin, this is your team. Walk us through.
Knicks.
It's not too much to walk through. This team is playing well right now, which is the Atlanta Hawks. So they're going to be marginally of some kind of competition, but they don't have anyone to contend with the big bodega, which is Karl Anthony Towns, and he's been balling. He's been balling to the point where I thought that JB would be the main person running the show. And like I said, I told you from the very jump, I want him to get plus 10 assists. I want him to average that. But when he's not, this team's been actually revolving around Karl Anthony Towns more so than what Minnesota used him for. Like, we are really starting to galvanize ourselves around our center, our leader in a sense, right? So that's what's happening. So I had to start putting Karl Anthony Towns in the MVP type of a conversation because that's how he's playing. He's playing very well, and we are now the rest of the team is complimenting him versus the other way around. So it's interesting to see that transformation from game 1 up until now, and the team seems to be vibrant off that. They're not holding their heads down or anything. Mikal Bridges is starting to play a lot better, which is what I was looking forward to. So if we're firing all cylinders, Atlanta cannot beat us. They just don't have the skill set to do it. If we start to struggle, in which we have been struggling every now and then, we haven't been playing perfect, then I can see Atlanta taking this out. God, I don't want to see the after effects of all that because everyone keeps saying, oh my God, Trey, you know how Trey gets in New York, right? Yeah, that was years ago. Stop it. But I get it. I get it, right? I get
it. The new Reggie. Calvin.
Too much firepower. I like the Knicks. I'll just keep it simple.
Okay. Again, Knicks have been playing really well. Karl Anthony Towns, sensational here lately. I think he's averaging like 26, something like that, like 25, 13, and 3. Very good performer. Again, if the game runs through him, I think they should be successful. The late game tomorrow night is the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. A lot of people are high on the Rockets this season.
Yeah.
Golden State started really hot, but they come back down to earth. Kaminga has been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But what do you see this matchup doing on tomorrow night, Calvin?
Look, so I was really on the Rockets, and then I went and looked at the numbers. Golden State has beaten this team twice, and they beat them once without Steph and Draymond. Kuminga just likes this matchup, averaging 25 and 6 against the Rockets. So I'm gonna go with Golden State. I didn't realize Kuminga balled like that against them, and then you're gonna add Steph to this matchup tomorrow. So I was leaning Rockets, but after looking at the numbers doing deep dive, I'm taking Golden State, even in Houston.
Justin?
Golden State has been playing very well. Draymond Green has came back since the injury, doing the sleep joint against Rudy, hitting game sealing dunks
true.
and things like that. Kuminga's been balling, Winger's been balling, and Steph has been Steph. So, with all that being said, let's go with Houston. I believe Houston is primed and ready to. This is the stage that we talked about. We talked about this before.
Yeah,
This stage is set for up and comers as well as people that's just trying to maintain their crown. This is one of the up and coming teams. This is the Houston Rockets. This is the Segun. This is Jalen Green. This is Fred VanVleet and them boys, led by Coach Ime Udoka. So, with that being said, I definitely like Houston taking this one. Just shake some things up.
Yeah, should be interesting. Update: OKC's up 75-61, 14-point lead. About 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Let's just look at the last week. So right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 21-4, leading the Eastern Conference. Over in the West, you have OKC atop the conference. Should be interesting going down the stretch. I really have questions about some of the things I've been reading over the last couple of days. I know Mike Wilbon floated out a suggestion about what Golden State should do to try to get another piece. Did you hear about that, Calvin?
No. Are you talking about? You talking about LeBron?
Yeah. What's your thoughts?
No, okay.
I did hear people talking about if a trade deal comes, Bronny James is coming with him as well.
I read that as well.
They're attached to him.
But you know what's interesting? You know what's interesting is Golden State was a team that considered drafting Bronny as well.
That's what they said.
And they were going to draft him like a pick or two before the Lakers. So I guess the trade is something. I don't know. I don't know if you're trying to say that you want to replicate what these two did in the Olympics. That was over a span of 2.5 weeks, not 5-6 months.
And you had KD.
You had something to say about that, by the way.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I put it like this. I want to see it for entertainment reasons. I want to see it happen.
Sure.
Basketball wise, I don't know if it's the best at this point. So
I just had to float that out there. The Boston Celtics, what's going on with the Celtics? They only have 5 losses on the season, so there's no reason to panic. A lot of people have had a lot of questions about their chemistry here lately, coming up short. Some of the performances have been inconsistent. Justin, do you have any thoughts on Boston right now?
Rigors of the regular season.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They know where their end goal is. It's a long way to get there. It's tough when you're a playoff team. It's tough when you're a championship team. That's how they feel they are. Clearly, they still got one of the best records in the league, top 3. So there's no pressure on them. There's no sweat off their back. So if anybody's trying to say something about them, they're just trying to separate the main 2 stars, in which they've been trying to do for the last 5 years. I think they got past that. I think they'd be just fine.
Yeah. It's a long season. They haven't had everyone play consistently recently. They just integrated Porzingis again.
They give him a lot of people rest too. I've been noticing that.
They were resting. They were resting Jaylen Brown for a couple games. Tatum sat for a game or so. It's just you're going through the rigors of the regular season, like Justin said. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think they know what they are, and I think right now they view their main competition as Cleveland and New York, but they got to peek to Orlando as well.
All right. Memphis Grizzlies, interesting, have been coming on here strong.
They beat Boston a couple days ago.
Yeah, been coming on here strong. Ja hasn't played superbly well, but something about when he's on the court, this team seems to elevate their play a little bit better. Calvin, your thoughts on Memphis?
They're getting a lot of help from the other guys, Clark and Bain and Jaren Jackson. They're getting help from those guys. So it's not just Ja and then maybe one ancillary piece, but they're getting a lot of help from the other 4 stars. Their starting fives are averaging about 90 points. And when you can do that consistently and play decent defense, you had Ja Morant just come back recently. So they went on a nice little tear, and just wonder if they can keep it up. That's the one thing. Can they keep this up, especially in the Western Conference where you have Oklahoma City, you have Dallas, you have Golden State, you have Denver. Can they keep this up, especially knowing what they went through last year? Can they bounce back from what happened last year and use that experience and use the high draft pick they got with the center? I forgot his name. But, yeah, I just want to see if they can keep that up.
Justin, any thoughts on the Grizzlies?
Talking about Zach Edey, by the way.
Edey. Yeah.
You know, it's the Ja effect, right? Ja has a very similar effect as in Shea. You can watch when certain players play and just the gravitational pull they have on the defense, whereas though instead of 1 or 2 guys playing you defensively, it's like all 5 guys are kind of watching what you do in a sense, right? To try to contain you in a way. And the other players, if they robbing with you, if they rocking with you, if they're not, if there's no friction, they play off of that very well. And that's what you're saying when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies. They're starting to play together as a team, and it's fun to see. They're playing good basketball right now.
All right, one team I have to bring up, and it's been discussed in the offseason. I think educated basketball fans had no expectations for this team, but some people were drinking the juice, the Philadelphia 76ers, and what they have become. Is this something that they can bounce back from? I know Embiid has struggled with his injuries and all that kind of stuff, but just the way the team is constructed, if you're counting on Embiid to be what you want to be, can Paul George, can Maxey, can the team that they have, should they be better than 7-15? And are they do they have the ability to go on a run like a Milwaukee did? Can they go on a run and get themselves back in contention? Because right now it's looking kind of bleak. Calvin, I'll start with you.
Can they go on a run? Yes. I mean, as long as you define run, like, can they go on a run and get to a 6 seed, get to a playoff spot? Yes. I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed. They're too inconsistent. They have too many injuries. They haven't played together enough to know what each person's role is, and to say that Maxey needs to be the person that has the ball in hand the most. So they don't have that hierarchy yet. Can they go on the run and get to the 6 seed and which is they're 5 games back? Yes, I think they can do that. I think they will do that as the schedule evens out, as they play teams that they are better than. If you kind of get Embiid's rest schedule set up to where that you like it, to where he's playing the better teams or the back-to-back or the better teams in 2 and 3 nights and what so have you. So can they make a run to a 6 seed? Yes. I don't know what that means for the playoffs, though, but I think they can get to the 6 seed and get out of the play-in by the time the playoffs come around.
Justin,
they need 2 offenses. They need to deploy 2 offenses. And if you tell me they can do that, that's a lot for their coach. But if you tell me they can have 2 offenses playing, and then at the same time, I think they might make a push. Why do I say 2 offenses? Joel Embiid is going to play 1 every 3 to 4 games. That's it. That's it. And that's where we're at right now with him. I don't know if this is a regular season thing. I don't know if this is an ongoing thing. This might be where he's at physically, similar to Kawhi Leonard. They physically might be at the end. Just we've seen this with Brandon Roy and stuff like that. When you lose certain stuff in your knees and things like that, it doesn't get better. So you just have to deal with the pain. So I play once, I play twice. I'm gonna have to sit out the next 3 games. Then I can play 2 to 3 more. That's where he's at right now. So that's why I said you play 2 offenses, 1 when Embiid is there, and 2 without Embiid. If you can max that by using Maxey, then now you have a formula to success. But if you're trying to fill what Joel Embiid leaves you, then now you're always playing from behind. You have to understand that this is really, and like I said, I've spoke on this multiple times. I was more shaking up Maxey in the playoffs when they was playing against New York. He was the one that was making the engine go. He was the difference maker for me. If they say Maxey is our guy, then now we deploy an offense that matches what Maxey does, which is a high tempo, push the ball, similar to De'Aaron Fox. He is like another De'Aaron Fox. He's one of the fastest guys in the league, and he brings the ball downhill very quickly, and he'll pull up and shoot a tray with no problem. They need to reconstruct their team to go around Maxey and not around Embiid. If they do that, then they have a shot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's hard at this point, but like you say, you got to happen because you can't count on them. Just quickly going over the players of the week from last week. Luka Doncic has been averaging 29.3, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. He was the Western Conference Player of the Week. And then Tyler Hero for the Miami Heat. Team went 3-1, averaging 25, 6 and 5. Shout out to him. We haven't heard his name all year, so good job for that for the last week. And then that's it for us tonight. Just a quick check-in. Dallas down 72-84. 53 seconds left in the third quarter. Been an interesting in-season tournament. It would be interesting to see these final teams if this stays pretty much the same. Any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight? Calvin, I'll start with you.
Looking forward to the second week of Hard Knocks, trying to see what the temperament of the show is going to be, how are they featuring all four teams evenly. I mean, you got 3 of them in the playoff race and one in Cleveland that's just kind of have its own issues, but interesting where they go with week 2. Do you feature a game 2 weeks ago, or do you kind of start with this week? How involved the Ravens during their bye week? Just want to check out week 2 of Hard Knocks, so see where that goes.
Justin?
Just looking forward towards the NBA Cup, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a fun series, you know, and it's a straight manhunt to see who's going to be the best player or best team out of the NBA Cup. So that's what we're
in. For me this weekend, Saturday night's main event, WWE Saturday night main event returns to NBC Saturday night. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for the WWE World Title. That should be fun. So if you're a wrestling fan growing up late 80s, 90, really the 80s and 90s, man, you remember Saturday night's main event would come on late on Saturday night occasionally when Saturday Night Live was on hiatus, and you got to see the big matchup. Back then, we ain't had no Monday Night Raw. We ain't had no, stars wrestling each other every week on Raw and Nitro and stuff until the late 90s. But back then, you got the scrub matches on the weekends. You got the star versus the local scrub. But then when the Saturday night main event came along,
Jobber.
Scrubs. yeah. Then when Saturday night main event came along, that's when you got star versus star. This was the early days before pay-per-view and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is like a throwback to that. And it's not as special because we see stars versus stars all the time now, but it's still a good little feeling. Jesse Ventura is going to be on commentary like he used to be back in the day.
That's the 40 years ago. That's the Vince effect.
It should be fun, man. Anyway, before we get out of here, thank you all for tuning in, and we appreciate you. We thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing on YouTube, but also on our Facebook. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for liking any comments. Again, we know a lot of you all watch this throughout the week, so it's not necessarily always live, but we do appreciate the loyal people who check us out throughout the live broadcast, but then come back throughout the rest of the week, because sometimes I get comments or likes about stuff that happened early in the week. They just get into the video, and that's always fun to see. Also, I put out a video last week showing just how wrong Calvin and Justin were about the New York Jets and how I was right. Got a lot of attention, got a lot of likes. I appreciate y'all for acknowledging that I am Nostradamus. Now, if I could have been that right about Kirk Cousins, I'd have been great. But
that makes you not Nostradamus, by the way.
You weren't right about them Cleveland Browns either. So
I never lauded the Browns. I just said they will win. Y'all will
win the division. The division. Say, let's put the whole truth out there.
You put the Jets winning the division, and you had the Jets.
The Jets are closer than the Browns winning the division.
Either
the
way.
Super Bowl of the draft. So they're trying to get number one pick. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, we ran a little late tonight. But we appreciate y'all sticking in with us, and we'll be back next week. We won't have an NBA special tomorrow night, but we will be back next week. Again, we getting down to it. Pro Bowl selections are coming out, postseason awards, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be start putting our players together for who should make the Pro Bowl, who should be, getting the MVP. All that stuff's coming out because we only got after this week. Each team should have about 3 games left on their schedule, I believe, and one of them is like Christmas. So we got 1 week. Our schedule might be a little different because Christmas is on a Wednesday, Christmas Eve on a Tuesday. I know I'm traveling a little bit, so stay tuned for what's going on with that. But we're gonna make sure we here each and every week, even if I gotta take my stuff with me. We're gonna talk about what's going on. All right. So we appreciate y'all being loyal. So we're gonna be loyal to y'all, and we'll see you right here next week on Get Off the Damn Fence. Y'all have a good one.
Do it from your heart. Don't do it.